Fiends, go to freedomfiends.com. For more Liberty Under Attack, go to libertyunderattack.com. And for more of Nick's stuff, if he gets back at his podcast, go to and-yak.com.
The Freedom Fiends now have a free app for your Android phone, tablet, phablet, or other Chrome robot turret, available now from the Google Play Store, Amazon, and freedomfiends.com. Lovingly handcrafted by head hamster Michael W. Dean, the artisanal Freedom Fiends radio app allows you to listen live, keep up with the podcast, chat directly with other fiends, get discounts on bigger buttons, brainwash yourself with a 24/7 random episode, and so much more. You know the Freedom Fiends is the best libertarian radio show in the world, but when the fiends aren't live, you can use the app to listen to LRN.FM from anywhere. The Freedom Fiends radio app is like having a virtual libertarian re-education camp in your pocket. It's your gateway to the exclusive high-demand group that is the Freedom Fiends. Install the Freedom Fiends radio Android app today. It's free, and of course, it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. And get ready for LibPair with the Freedom Fiends radio app for Android. Worms.
You know.
Does this ever happen to you? Moments after you're introduced to someone, you forget his or her name. It's a common faux pas you'll want to avoid, especially if you're a job seeker. And even if you're not, here's a tip. As you are being introduced, and while you're still shaking hands, smiling, and making eye contact, say the person's name aloud. Not only does that make a deposit in your memory bank, it acknowledges the other person. And that is more than a nuance, as is maintaining eye contact. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. Cutting through the clutter rather than blending into the blah, blah, blah will help you connect better, no matter what the conversation. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live, brought to you by freekeen.com. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, October 13th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.49 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,257 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $638. Antiwar.com reports just a few days after an incident in which the USS Mason, passing through the Bab al-Mandeb Strait off Yemen, believed it was fired at with a pair of missiles from Yemen. The Pentagon is reporting that the same ship, still roughly in the same place, was fired at again, though again the missiles did not hit them. It is still unclear why the USS Mason was still hanging out around the strait when it passed through on its way to the Red Sea, though with Pentagon officials saying they intend to keep U.S. warships there just to prove that they have the freedom to operate off the coast of Yemen. The idea may simply be for U.S. warships to wander around the coast of nations at war and then park as soon as they come under anything resembling fire. The Pentagon is also vowing revenge, saying they will respond at the appropriate time and in the appropriate manner. It is not clear who fired the missiles, however, Pentagon officials claim to have at least some circumstantial evidence suggesting it was Yemen's Shiite Houthi movement. The Pentagon cited small boats in the water around the time of the missile fire as evidence that the Houthis might have sent boats out to spot for the attack, and also claimed it was a possibility that the radar station under Houthi control had painted the ship. Since the missiles did not hit or apparently come particularly close, it's not clear that a lot of advanced spotting happened. However, the Houthis have denied involvement. In 1999, Daryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Daryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports police have analyzed user information from social media networks to track protesters, according to a report from the American Civil Liberties Union. The ACLU found the company Geophedia has been collecting and analyzing user data from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for police, including agencies in Ferguson, Missouri, and Baltimore during protest over improper use of force by police officers. Both Facebook and Twitter cut the developers access to data streams from the social media networks after discovering Geophedia was providing user data to more than 500 law enforcement agencies, which they consider a violation of their contracts with the company. ACLU public attorney Matt Cagle said in a blog post, because Geophedia obtained the access to Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as developers, it could access a flow of data that would otherwise require an individual to scrape user data off the service in an automated fashion that is prohibited by the terms of service. With this special access, Geophedia could quickly access public user content and make it available to the 500 law enforcement and public safety clients claimed by the company. Facebook terminated Geophedia's access to its network in September. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports in a call for sweeping drug decriminalization, 2 human rights groups said on Wednesday police in the United States make more than 1.25 million arrests a year for drug possession, more than twice the number for violent crimes, and about half of the arrests are for cannabis. The 196-page report by the American Civil Liberties Union and Human Rights Watch said the war on drugs was a failure, with rates of drug use unchanged since President Richard Nixon launched the campaign more than 40 years ago. The report said state and federal government should decriminalize the use and possession of drugs for personal use and focus instead on prevention and reducing harm. Tessa Borden, the report's author, said in a statement, "These wide-scale arrests have destroyed countless lives while doing nothing to help people who struggle with dependence." The report, citing FBI data, said nearly half of all drug possession arrests in 2015, or more than 574,000 arrests, were for cannabis. FBI data showed in the same year there were 506,000 arrests for violent crimes, such as murder, rape, and aggravated assault. 4 times as many people were arrested for drug possession than for drug distribution. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
George W. Bush may be retired from politics, but he's keeping busy with his new hobby of painting. Today, the Picasso-in-chief tweeted his latest picture, a turkey sandwich and glass of lemonade in front of the ghost of the Iraqi child that follows him everywhere. Rebecca Mera has been following the flourishing art career. He's pretty good, Rebecca.
Yeah, well, Rachel, Bush doesn't claim to be a great artist, but as he put it, not bad for an old man, huh?
Not bad at all. He says he likes painting simple things he sees in everyday life, like his dogs, that dead Iraqi child. You can see that Bush's art is improving over time if you take a look. At first, he could barely draw the Iraqi child's transparent hands, but now they look much more realistic.
Much more. You know, I'm not surprised that he's getting better. Bush practices constantly.
And Laura Bush says he's more focused than ever, locks himself away for hours at a time and won't talk to anyone while he's painting.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if history will look back on Bush as a politician or the next Rembrandt. Up next, a study found that drinking red wine once a day can help the body get hammered.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. And it's Mark with you.
And Chris.
You can give us a call, talk about whatever's on your mind, but we always bring something in to talk about because, well, that's what you expect on a radio program, and we're here to provide what you're looking for. And I think that we can all agree that that institutions of higher learning are great places where for young people to go and learn new things and explore new ideas and test their own boundaries and become the adults that we all hope that they will be.
Yeah. And we all know that doesn't always happen. I think we can safely say that higher education takes a probably deserved poke in the eye sometimes for being biased to one side of the political spectrum than the other.
That much is certainly true, but I would also say that let's assume that higher education tends to aim liberal. Liberalism, as we understand it today, has not walked unscathed through the recent social fracturing that we've seen among other groups. Liberalism isn't what it used to be either.
True.
On one hand, you have liberals that are essentially, socialists. They're economic liberals who believe that the government should provide people all of these things.
Yep.
And when that happens, then what you have is sort of what we've called on Free Talk Live, the babyification of America.
Sure. The coddling, the nanny state.
All that stuff.
I'll take care of you.
What the result of that is people who believe that you owe them things all of the time. Hey, I got special pronouns and you need to respect them and all these things, right? And they're like, looking for a fight. They're not looking to, slowly incremental change. They believe that they are owed. And now the universities are beginning to reap what they have sown.
You bet.
These college professors, which largely are, liberal in nature, are now having to deal with trigger warnings on literature, right? Hey, I just wanted people to have medical paid for and for everybody to have a living wage, and now I've got to deal with these adult children that say that they can't handle Red Badge of Courage because it talks about the Civil War and that is bad for black people, or whatever.
Right.
Whatever the insanity is.
Yeah, and it goes on and on. So this story comes to us today from The Blaze. The title is Liberal College Students Caught on Camera Toppling Free Speech Wall. The reason? Oh, come on, you already know.
Yes, I do.
A cardboard box, quote, free speech wall was put together by conservative students at Colorado State University.
Well, there's the first problem.
Which
we can't have a free speech zone put together by conservative students.
But to be fair, it was in Colorado State University, which is a little bit more liberal than some institutions you may be thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
But the wall displayed liberal and conservative opinions. But it was knocked down several times by livid left-leaning students. On Tuesday, Campus Reform reported. Why? One dissenter caught on camera kicking remnants of the wall before storming off summed up the reason this way: effing fascists, F you. I should have said quote and unquote because that's what he said.
Yes.
Another protester railed against Republican presidential nominee I'm on a roll today. Donald Trump, quote, as a combat veteran, I can say effing tiny-handed Hitler and anybody who supports him, that is a fascist mother effer, and he's going to get what he deserves.
What does he deserve?
Evidently to have a cardboard wall torn down in his name, I guess, or something else.
Well, okay, so as a combat veteran, I don't think that your opinion is any more valuable than anybody else's, sir. And I'm going to say this to liberal or conservative. I think that this is one of the ways that we stop free speech. Your status as a combat veteran somehow gives you the right to... Chris, are you a combat veteran? I don't know.
Not a combat veteran, a veteran, but not a combat veteran.
I mean, I know that. I know there's all these hierarchies amongst veterans. I'm the low end. I'm just the person who's had to pay for it.
Right.
I'm just the taxpayer. And that's all I've ever been. Did I try to sign up for the military? I did, but, things didn't work out, and I didn't go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not bitter about it. I'm thankful that I didn't go. If I'd have gone, I'd have ended up in the first Iraq war and probably got that Gulf War syndrome and be very, very ill right now and be hoping that the VA would take care of me, and likely they wouldn't.
Likely, you're correct.
So I consider myself fortunate that I didn't end up going, but I certainly did attempt it, at least to some extent. I made one telephone call. So just this idea that somehow, I'm a combat veteran, so what?
Yeah, and my personal feelings, because I am involved in a lot of military organizations.
Yeah, sure.
I hang out with a lot of vets and things like that. I admire the cojones. I guess that's how I would put it for people that have put themselves in harm's way.
Why is that the cojones, though? I mean, wouldn't you have gone if you were told?
Yeah, I probably would have, but that's different than, and you didn't let me finish my sentence, but it is protecting your friends around you.
Sure.
And I that's the one thing I've got most from talking to combat vets is the mission is the mission, and somebody in Washington came up with it, and here we are in the middle of nowhere, and we're doing it.
Yeah, sure. I understand why they do it.
But all that is absolutely secondary to once they're there, the concern they have for their fellow man.
Yeah. I understand why they're attempting to defend their team and all that stuff. I think that's legit, or at least I understand it. But I guess, like the people who went signed a piece of paper, the same piece of paper you did.
Yeah.
And they ended up signing it either before or after you did, or maybe even the same time. And they put in the same time and the same training that you did. They happen to, by luck, end up, or good or bad, whatever you call it, end up in a combat zone.
Or choice. I mean, if you have the test scores in the military going in, you are going to have your choice of occupational specialties or that you could go into, jobs you will do. And for somebody that scores very, very high on those tests, they're going to have a lot more opportunities than people that don't score very high. So literally, and I'm not bragging, anyone please, but I do test well.
Okay.
I test well.
I'm a good tester too.
Yeah. So going in the military, in the enlisted ranks, I literally had my pick of any job in the military because my test scores were very, very high. That was great for me.
So you picked something that would benefit you in
I
later
picked
life.
a technical job, a highly technical job in communications that I was able to know going into it because it had the word strategic in it, that I would not go into a combat area. I would not be deployed in the field, things like that. So I was able to choose that. But for a lot of kids going in, and I say kids because they're kids, the choices are not there. You may have the choice if you do not test well or you're poorly educated, thanks to our public school system. Your choices may be, do you want to be a cook? Do you want to be a truck
Do they
driver?
even have cooks? I'm completely ignorant on that.
I think
they're
all contracted
now,
out,
right? I mean,
when I was in, we did have some military cooks, and a lot of it was contracted. The best food, without a doubt, was always the enlisted people that actually joined up to be cooks.
Okay.
The contracted stuff was what you expect in every cafeteria you've ever been in.
Yeah, it's nothing great. That's for sure.
But that's the thing. A lot of kids that don't have a great education and are going in, they're not going to get a lot of options. So
we got derailed by this guy and his claim for combat veteran status here. But I'm much more interested in this circumstance is what this makes me think is, are Americans, college students, are they capable of handling free speech?
Yeah.
Clearly some of them are, but clearly some of them aren't.
Yeah. I agree completely. And the whole concept of trigger, when I first heard it, I thought this is an Onion story. But here we go. Now this has become our reality that we live in.
I would imagine that people who consider themselves to be on the left are probably pretty ashamed of this behavior by college students. Like that's not how you deal with new ideas, is it? 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE here on Free Talk Live.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. TLC Laser Eye Centers is now offering great prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved all-laser LASIK technology for less than what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-929-5733. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra $400 off your all-laser LASIK procedure. That's $200 off per eye. We've already performed over 2 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve for less than what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-929-5733. 1-800-929-5733.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Investment Rarities, a 43-year-old company, has created the best silver offer ever. Get a U.S. Silver Eagle, Canadian Maple Leaf, Austrian Philharmonic, OPM Pure Bar, and Silver Round. Have all 5 for $99 post-paid. You heard me right, 5 ounces of silver below cost. No credit card fees, free shipping. Just $99 and you'll have a great start on what it takes to survive even the worst economic storm. Act now and receive Jim Cook's exclusive paper explaining how it's possible to make a fortune in silver today. Don't miss this opportunity. Call 800-328-1860. Read how the above-ground supply of silver has dropped below even gold. The secret is being suppressed. The price could explode at any time. Call today at 800-328-1860. Get 5 ounces of silver for only $99. Find them on the web at investmentrarities.com or call 800-328-1860. Call now before it's too late. 800-328-1860.
It's the Onion Radio News. A crazy man announces plans to stand in a doorway and yell at cars. This is Doyle Redland reporting. Dennis Fife, an Alhambra, California crazy man, held a press conference today to announce his intention to stand in the doorway of the office building at 2600 Kenilworth Avenue and yell at cars all day.
At approximately 9:30 a.m. on the day in question, shortly after I finish lunging at dogs, I will proceed to the front steps of the Simmons building and yell loudly for 9 hours. The screaming will be broken by a 15-minute fit of rigid catatonia, most likely in the late afternoon.
Among the topics Fife plans to address during his 9-hour rant, the ace of diamonds, bookshelves, the man trying to kill him, plastic bags in trees, Trapper John M.D., and papers everywhere. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. What is that weird noise?
That was strange. That was not me.
It wasn't. It was not in the studio. It sounded like a cough, but perhaps it was just some kind of feedback. I don't know. 855-450-3733 here on Free Talk Live. What we're doing is we're talking about a situation at, is it Colorado University?
Colorado State University.
And I see what the problem is. Colorado University, Colorado State University, where there was a free speech wall.
Yep.
And that free speech wall apparently was just too much for some college students to handle. The claim is that they are liberal. They sound like they are liberal. I don't know if I'm ready to take a stand that somehow conservative college students could handle this stuff.
Right.
So, and I'm not sure if I'm willing to say that it's only college students that can't handle this stuff. But what we can clearly see here in play is, some people cannot handle the notion of free speech.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. And we talked a little about a combat veteran who had issues with specifically Trump campaign stuff that was up on the wall too. But amid the cries of racism and other complaints around the wall, a voice was heard that may have taken left-wing students aback. It came from Juan Caro, chairman of the Conservative Interest Group, the student organization that put the wall together. He said he was called an, quote, ignorant Hispanic, stupid, and effed in the head, unquote, for supporting Trump. The entire time I was wondering where the love in Love Trump's hate was, he told Campus Reform. All I witnessed as a Hispanic male was the horrible white shaming of my fellow students, unquote.
Yeah. He's supposed to feel a particular way because he has a particular set of genes.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yes, you are a member of this group, therefore you will support this person. And if you don't, then there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. And I don't think this happens to white people very often. You know, like you're supposed to feel this way because of your gender or ethnicity, not even ethnicity, or not even gender. Like it just seems to be about ethnic groups.
Right.
And I think that, it's not only people of those ethnic groups that do it, but other people. I mean, how racist is it to presume that somebody of Hispanic origins, of Latin origins, Hispanic means they can speak Spanish or it's their native tongue or whatever. Latin means where they're from. Somebody of Latin origin has a particular political view simply because of the way they look.
Right.
That is
stereotype much, Mark?
Right. That's prejudice. You have judged them before they've even said a word
based on the color of their skin.
It's not racist because that's not a presumption that they that they are inferior.
Right.
But it is a presumption that you know what they think. It smacks of white man's burden, which is that's racism.
Well, it's a very thin line in these examples between prejudice and racism. They may start out with a little bit of prejudice, but it quickly becomes racist when you start insulting them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of their choices or whatever. One student was heard shouting down supporters of the wall, saying that, quote, racism is an ideology that is used to keep people who are not designated as white down, unquote. When another student countered her assertion that racism can be a, quote, two-way street, she shot back with a compelling, quote, no, it's not, no, it's not, no, it's not, unquote.
The idea that one can't be racist if one is not white.
Right.
I will say that there is that, white people in power are pretty dangerous for people who are not in ethnic groups. But I mean, tell me what it might be like dealing with a racist, an ethnic racist police officer or something like that. Not like this doesn't occur.
Yeah, and I have a hard time attributing, and I'll go along with that, and I'll say that that there are a lot of white people in positions of power that have done a lot of really, really bad things.
Yep.
I don't think that's because they're white. I think it's just because they have risen to that level, and maybe they have had an easier path because they're white, but they're in power and it's corrupted them, or they were evil people to begin with, or whatever.
It's all very complicated, but the notion that racism is not a two-way street seems... I would like to hear a better explanation for that, because up to this point in my life, 45 years, I haven't heard one.
Well, we do have this student that said...
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
No, it's not. I don't know what more you're looking for.
Again,
Mark.
I'm left unconvinced.
Let me repeat it again. That's all right. You probably still won't get it. And the story continues. Campus Reform added that earlier, that same woman called for the deportation of, quote, all the white guys who could be potential shooters, because statistics show that you're more likely to do that than anyone else, unquote. The outlet...
I suppose if she's saying, like, mass shootings, there might be an argument for it.
Statistically speaking,
but not for gun crime.
No, not at all.
This is the problem with choosing to classify people based on race.
Right.
Because once you do, then you've opened up a door for people to say, okay, well, that's true, that's not. Wait a second. What about this ethnic group that does this kind of crime? You want to deport them?
Right. And to talk about gun crime in particular, I don't know the statistics, but it seems to me that a lot of the mass shootings have been done by white males in this country.
The successful ones. Now,
there you go.
The terminology for mass shooting gets a little murky, right?
And let me really rephrase that. The big ones, the ones that happen in movie theaters and in schools and things like that. That seems to be that. But the mass shootings that occur because of the war on drugs, because of gang violence, where 4 or 5 people are killed, which the FBI is going to call that a mass shooting.
Yeah.
Those are occurring because of the war on drugs and prohibition, and now
usually not white guys,
right? And now we're dealing with people that, because of our economic programs and our manipulation of the currency and everything else, and the war on drugs, turn to what they can make money at, which in a lot of inner cities is going to be the drug trade. So, yeah. And again, there's that slippery slope, Mark. You start off with one thing, and now you've opened it up to something else, and that's the last thing these folks want to do. Campus reformed, added. It's all right. I'm skipping ahead. The outlet noted the punctuation of her argument, quote, "So why don't we get you the F out of here," unquote. This article drives me nuts because there is absolutely no substance whatsoever.
It's not substantive. That's absolutely true. When thinking about that with these mass shooters, another thing that you find is that when you add the variable of people who have gone through the trouble of getting all the government licensure to own whichever weapons it is that they have. Now, in different states, this is different levels of licensure. But once you have that, you have an even smaller percentage of a chance that person goes off and does something criminal with a weapon.
Well, overall, the statistics are very, very low that anybody who's gone through it's very, very low that we have these events anyway. They make big news, but they don't happen as often as we seem to think they do.
The number is 855-450-3733. Are college students just incapable of handling free speech? What do we do about this? 855-450-FREE, Free Talk Live, or LRN.FM on Skype. Free Talk Live.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hope.
Ricky, can you hear me?
I'm here, brother. How you doing, Mark?
Oh, this is Ricky from PA, right?
From the Commonwealth.
Okay. So just as a little help for us when you call in on Skype, there is an area on Skype where you can chat. I sent you a couple of messages. I didn't know who Ricky...
Yeah, you know what the problem is, Mark? I'm going to be honest, it's embarrassing. It's a bitch to get from on the UWP to get from where the call-in is to the chat. It's a bit of a bitch.
Okay. I don't know what the UWP is, but at least I know who Ricky...
You know what I'll do in the future? It's probably easier if I'll just send in, if I'm going to Skype in, I'll send in the message first.
That'd be awesome. Thank you, Ricky. Okay. What is the topic?
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is $4 higher at $1,258 per ounce. Silver is 8 cents higher at $17.61 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $636 US. Robertson Roberts has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. Call Robertson Roberts Brokerage today at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Phone records, financial and location data, Prism, Tempora, X-Keyscore, Boundless Informant. Hey, y'all, Scott Horton here for offnow.org. Now, here's the deal. Due to the Snowden revelations, we have a great opportunity for a short period of time to get some real rollback of the national surveillance state. Now, they're already trying to tire us by introducing fake reforms in the Congress. And the courts, they betrayed their sworn oaths to the Constitution and Bill of Rights again and again, and can in no way be trusted to stop the abuses for us. We've got to do it ourselves. How? We nullify it at the state level. It's still not easy, but the Off Now project of the 10th Amendment Center has gotten off to a great start. I mean it. There's real reason to be optimistic here. They've gotten their model legislation introduced all over the place, in state after state. I've lost count, more than a dozen. You're always wondering, yeah, but what can we do? Here's something important, something that can work if we do the work. Get started cutting off the NSA support in your state. Go to offnow.org.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live, and, well, we're talking about an issue here that seems to be pretty hot these days. The idea that college students are not cut from the same cloth that their previous college students were. And oftentimes, when somebody says, oh, this generation, I usually just assume that that's not true.
Every generation says that about the next generation coming up. Yeah, it's just what happens.
But I don't think that college students of the past would have been quite so hypersensitive that they would have attacked ideas with other ideas. Or maybe they would have attacked them physically. I don't know the answer to that. But at the very least, they wouldn't have gone to the authorities to get what they want. They wouldn't have had things like what are these decompression rooms, the safe room with the coloring books and Legos for them to play with,
pink walls calm you down.
These are for adults.
Yeah.
And I don't think they would have had those things. And I feel like that sort of gives bolsters the attitude of people who would shut down the opinions of others. You're gonna see a more secularized America here, where conservatives go to conservative colleges, liberals go to liberal colleges, and in the twain they don't meet. This is Al Gore's Two Americas, and it's on both sides. Yeah. The other side doesn't have to think like you do. You have to give if you're gonna get, America.
Right. And I think college, at least my view of college, and I'm basing this on people I've known that have gone, because I didn't go to college. I went right into the military right out of high school. But college was where you learned to deal with people that were different from you, that had different ideas. That's how you grew as a person. That's how you expanded your mind. Not to mention, like college sports and hazing and all the things that used to be part of, I guess, kind of toughening you up after high school before you went into the job market. I don't know. You know what I mean? Kind of what I'm getting at.
I got it. I don't think hazing is an effective way to toughen anybody up.
Of course not, but I'm talking about previous generations. You know what I mean? I don't think kids came out of college after 2 years or 4 years more sensitive than they went in. But with this generation, I just don't know. And I would say it's not just college students. I think it's what I see with kids coming out of high school now too.
Well, we'll go into it here, and if you've got a thought, the number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE, or you can choose to use Skype. The username is lrn.fm. So if you've got Bitcoin, I want you to go and download the official wallet of Free Talk Live. It's called Jax, and you can get it at jaxx.io or, whichever app store on whatever device you have. There's no wallet like it. You can hold Bitcoin, Ether, and like a bunch of other tokens too. And more currencies are coming. There's Shapeshift integration that allows for frictionless, easy exchange between currencies, so you don't have to leave the wallet to change currencies. It's created by Anthony Diorio. And he's the creator of CryptoKit, in case you know about that. He's also the founder of Ethereum. It's easy to back up your wallet and recover funds with Jax. Jax is striving to give you command over your digital life, coins, contracts, currencies, identity, and more. Your digital command center in the palm of your hand. You can say you had it early. You can be part of the test group for each individual offering that they have. It's the official wallet of Free Talk Live, jax.io. It's cross-platform. This is really important for me. jaxx.io. Let's go to Ricky calling in from Pennsylvania. Ricky, you're on Free Talk Live.
The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Okay, go ahead.
It's all good. No, I was listening to you and the other gentleman.
Chris.
Chris, yes. And maybe I could shed some light on this. I guess I'm with you up there. I'm an old timer at 42 at this point, and a bit of a relic, it seems, with some of these young kids. But I will tell you, it's not all of them. See, I'll tell you where this comes from, Mark. You see, I mentioned at one point that I was taught as a statist in school.
Sure, who wasn't?
It's a state school.
Sure, who wasn't?
That's what they teach.
It took 175 years for them to take over the state to take over school. Why did they do it? And I'll tell you what I heard in school, and this is where this racism is also coming in. They say, because I was taught not as a Pennsylvanian. My mom was from Nazareth. My dad was from Edelman's. He was a farm boy. You would have loved him, Mark. He didn't speak English till he was 14. He spoke Pennsylvania Dutch.
Oh.
Now, what I remember in school is 23rd of July, 1776. That was an attention getter right there, because PA just came and went. It's like they barely had anything to do with it. But the worst part was the Civil War. That's where the confusion came in, because, PA...
It truly is.
Yeah, because PA was bopping and popping like crazy. But the thing is, what the hell were they doing? Were they just, fiddling around? And it's only when... I remember the confusion in school. That's one of the things early on that turned me the way I was, to become an anti-federalist and to become, in all honesty, a Confederate, because I learned the truth about the South. I learned the truth about Pennsylvania. I learned the truth about the Civil War. And the one thing I'll tell you, when it comes to race, I remember my young cousin, who at the time was 12, and this had to be about 15 years ago. She comes, I was visiting my aunt, she comes and says, "It's my fault." I said, "What do you mean? It's my fault." "It's your fault too." I said, "What's that?" She says, "Slavery." I said, "Oh, no, wait a minute." And I start talking to her the truth of where slavery comes from, and I'm going to say it right now. And I think we're mature enough as a society, we're getting there. It wasn't Jefferson and the founding fathers. What it came down, it's called work, these people were already here. They're taken out of their country by others, by the British and by African kings. I myself knew a man by the name of Obi, and I knew him about 10 years ago. I don't know him that well. He was an African king. He gave up his throne. He gave up his riches for one reason. He didn't want any part of this. And it's the school that propagates this.
Well,
to cover up the
slavery was something that has existed for 9,000 years. Yeah. Here in, sort of antebellums, the compromises that went along with trying to get rid of slavery in the United States resulted in some bad things. So when you could no longer buy and sell people, hold on just 1 second.
All Lincoln did with that was prolong something. You can't just pull the plug on that. It's like trying to pull the plug on a communist society and just throw them into democracy.
Well, I don't know. How else would you stop it? You just pass a law, I guess. I don't know.
You can, but it's on a long, slow demise anyway.
Yeah, it was on a long, slow demise. Ricky, thank you so much for the call. Really appreciate it. The fact is that many of the laws. Let's talk about how these work. So you have to look at each one of these laws. Remember, there were lots and lots and lots and lots of people of all different ethnicities that were held in bondage in the United States and around the world.
Sure.
Okay? So the African slave trade went two directions. It went both east and west. And you were lucky if you went west. Even though, the transatlantic slave trade was horrible, the going east and going into the Arab countries, not so great either, right? I mean, there you're going to find adults being neutered without help, without gauze and things like that. It's horrifying stuff. When you look at the way that they stopped the slavery for the white people, then they make it so that you can't buy and sell people, but you can keep the kids, and then all kinds of different things went on, and it admittedly was a terrible time in U.S. history, but I think you should be held responsible for your actions. And that means, Chris, I think you should be responsible for every person that you held in bondage at any point.
That's fair enough.
Right.
And I will own that.
Right.
I will own that.
And if you didn't hold somebody in bondage, then that shouldn't be your fault.
I agree with that, too.
If you're all for reparations, here's the question I have for you. What if somebody is both the child of a slave and the child of a person who owns somebody? What do they do? Pay themselves?
Is that the Jeffersonian enigma?
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
The following is an incredible, life-changing free offer for anyone with hearing problems who wants to start hearing everything more clearly again. We're now offering free in-home trials of a revolutionary hearing breakthrough called Listen Clear to anyone who calls this special toll-free number now. 1-800-719-2949. Call in the next 10 minutes and you'll also qualify for free shipping and free batteries for life. Listen Clear is precisely designed by top audio engineers. It adjusts to let you find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And Listen Clear is so invisible, people may not even know you're wearing it. And it's so lightweight, you may even forget you're wearing it too. Don't miss this special life-changing opportunity to hear everything more clearly again for free with a 100% free in-home trial, free shipping, and even free batteries for life. For free information, call now. 1-800-719-2949. That's 1-800-719-2949. 1-800-719-2949.
You are what you eat? No, not true. You are what you can absorb, because not absorbing nutrition leads to nutritional deficiency and degenerative diseases. Medication does not fix nutritional deficiencies, and North American soil is now 85% nutritionally depleted. That means your body is not getting the vitamins it needs from just grown foods. Introducing Protovite, the world's first and only full-spectrum protosomal supplement. Protovite is a proprietary liquid system that allows premium quality nutrients to positively affect the blood in an astonishing 5 minutes. That's rapid absorption. Then Protovite liquid continues to release sustained nutrition in the stomach, intestines, and colon over a prolonged period of time. See Protovite in action. Watch our amazing 2-minute live blood cell video today at TrueHealthFacts.com. That's TrueHealthFacts.com. Or call 502-410-3411. 502-410-3411. Protovite is nutrition you can feel. Protovite is nutrition that gets in.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. We're talking about this article from theblaze.com about a free speech wall at Colorado State University that apparently was just a little too much for some students to handle. And I consider this to be a very big problem. If somebody doesn't tell these gentle little waifs that other people are allowed to have opinions in their immediate vicinity without having their property destroyed, then we're going to have a very difficult time here in America. Now, I've already said it. I think the United States is through. I believe that all empires have their rise, their peak, and their fall. I think that modern society with communication has increased these sorts of things and happening. You're not necessarily talking about a peak that lasts 100 years.
I read a really interesting article, and it touches on what you're saying, but I can't remember the scientist who, I think it was Enrico Fermi, proposed that why is it that the mathematical probability that there is other life in the universe so great, you know what I mean? How many worlds, how many suns, how many things? Yet we have zero evidence of it to date. I don't really believe that. I think the government probably does have evidence, but that's just a personal thing with me. But the theory is this, is that once a society grows and it gets technologically advanced and it develops enough power that it could literally destroy itself, kind of like we can with nuclear bombs, then that power is exceeded by the political power, which just hoses everything up and destroys the civilization. So in other words, civilizations grow and they're like little fireworks going off.
Interesting.
We develop the technology, we're moving right along, but then politics gets involved and just destroys everything.
Man, do you think politics could turn around technological advancement? I mean, we haven't seen that too many times.
We've seen that through. There's definitely been stifling of technological advancement.
Well, we've seen like the Goths take over Rome,
sure,
and then you've got little villages inside the Colosseum.
Right.
We certainly have that. I suppose. If let me go on here. If you had but one day to teach somebody about economics, what would you tell them? Well, if you don't have an answer, it's okay, because for over 70 years, the Foundation for Economic Education, this is a great organization, fee.org, has been providing free resources to teachers and students. Their newest course, Economics in One Day, will give you a breadth and depth of knowledge of economics and how it works for you that you'll be able to teach others. It's so great that you'll be able to teach others. Fee gives you the tools, and they make it easy. Take Economics in One Day now, free at fee.org, fee.org/FTL. And that way, you get the free course. You learn about key economic concepts, the inspiring vision that the market economy brings, and the challenges that government solutions face. Start today at no charge at fee.org/FTL. It's fee.org/FTL. And learn why entrepreneurship matters. And it does matter.
Indeed. I will definitely check that out.
So, I don't know whether or not. I mean, I made the claim that I believe that the United States is on its leg down. I don't know. There's not a lot of evidence. This would be sort of, if you're looking at the bell curve, I would say we're at the top, and that it's sort of cresting towards the downward, that we can see the downward the slope. I'm not saying that it's time to leave the United States. It's still a really great place to make money. You're making, as as U.S. as occupant making money, you're making more wealth than most places in the world. Now, maybe when you retire, it might be a good idea to go someplace where your dollar goes farther. And I think you can do that inside the U.S. and outside the U.S. There's places where you can get a nice house in the U.S. for $50,000.
Yep.
And that means that you've got, if you've saved, hopefully you've saved, they say that most Americans have less than $1,000 in the bank. But hopefully you've saved. And if you've saved, say, $250,000 or something like that, and you sell your house and you're able to buy a house that's significantly cheaper, maybe you've got a little more, maybe that gets you up to the $250, then you can live on that plus some Social Security. That's great. But you can get your Social Security. There's lots of countries out there. I talked to a guy when I was at Anarchapulco. He's living in Cambodia, and the amount of money that people are making in Cambodia, it's like $5 a day.
Right.
So your money can go really, really far in some places. I hear a really great place is Taiwan, because you'll have the benefits of modern amenities, and your dollar goes very, very far.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know this. I don't know. I mean, I've looked at some places. I was in Belize. There were a lot of expatriates in Belize, and they had nice houses. They were living in nice neighborhoods, apparently full of mostly Americans, and it wasn't walled off. They didn't talk to me about guns or anything. It seemed like a pretty good place. But these are the kind of things that you need to start looking at, because you don't know what life's going to be like.
And regarding your bell curve, I think there's there's so many different measures of that. And I think the further we've come along technologically and as a society, there ends up being more and more ways that we can see where we're at on that curve. Economically, I think the country itself is way down the slope. I think the highlight was after our first 100 or so years when we had honest money. And then we spent the last 100 years doing away with that in every way we possibly could. But there are other measures, technology-wise, that we're much further ahead. And I think we have a much cleaner environment than we used to have, which is a result of, I believe, capitalism and the wealth creation that we've done. We can afford nicer stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could say it's a result of regulation, too. But the question is whether or not regulation needs to be handled by the government. Look, I'm willing to say that regulations or licensure, that these things are important, but I think that they can be handled by private organizations. So, for instance, if you look at, we use this example a lot. There's lots of examples out there, but we use this one a lot. UL, Underwriters Laboratory. This is a completely private organization that decides whether or not your electronics are acceptable to be sold in stores. And stores simply will not sell your electronics unless you've got the UL label. That's it. End of story. You're not going to get it's just not going anywhere. If you're selling this anywhere, it's going to be one of those cheapy shops. And, I'm not buying a space heater from that doesn't have UL, certification. This is really sort of important. And, well, the government, you don't necessarily need the government telling people what to do in order to have, I guess, there's a difference between regulations and licensure, but that's very similar. Let's go to Sarah calling in from New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, you know what? I feel that Gary Johnson gets his campaign money from the Republicans.
Which Republicans are you referring to?
Well, he had the radio commercial on Free Talk Live. He had Gary Johnson. I mean, that's expensive. How much do you charge Gary Johnson to put radio commercials on your show?
It was a couple of grand for the whole run.
Couple of grand? Like a couple of grand as in $3 grand? You know what? For a pothead, where does he get that kind of money?
Sarah,
Wow.
you made an accusation that Gary Johnson gets his money from the Republicans.
Yeah, let's deal with that one first.
So,
Yes.
are you going to back it up or just make a wild accusation? Do you think only Republicans have money?
I back it up because you know what? It costed him a couple of grand to air the commercials on this show.
That's ridiculous.
That's a lot of money.
Okay.
Do you every time you get money, does it come from Republicans?
No, but
Okay, then the Gary Johnsons didn't either.
Could Democrats?
A couple of grand to run a commercial?
It's not one commercial.
It was kind of money?
It was a month's worth of commercials, and he was on every single hour.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I know. I heard his commercial.
Yeah.
And you know something? And what's funny is he's a former Republican.
Yep.
With Republican values, and you know that he's not a true libertarian. So then why is he airing commercials on your show? That's what I want to know.
Well, because
But
he
you know what?
bought them. Do you want to buy some commercials on our show?
we'll sell them to you.
Yeah, but don't you think that's kind of like trading in your values? You know what I mean? Of an authentic, true libertarian, you're just selling out.
No,
You're kind of
because
like doing the same thing as like all the politicians that sell out for big corporations. You'll just take money and just let anybody air whatever they want.
well, I will take money and
though
let
they're
anyone
not
air what they want. That's part of the idea of free talk live. Now, they won't get my voice necessarily. Now, I would voice an ad for Gary Johnson because I believe he's the best one on the ballot. It's Hillary Clinton that scares me, and as does Donald Trump. Those are the frightening people. Donald Trump because of his sort of nationalist fascist tendencies, and Hillary Clinton because, well, she's been involved in killing people around the world. But Gary Johnson, he's just a guy who doesn't want to spend a lot of money. Free Talk Live.
Do you need a website for your blog or new business? It can be pretty intimidating on your own, and that's why Free Talk Live has partnered with HostGator, one of the top hosting companies. HostGator offers a simple one-click, easy installation for WordPress, 24/7 over-the-phone or live chat tech support, and a very intuitive, user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation back into your hands. Go to HostGator.com/FTL and you'll get 50% off of their regular hosting prices. 50% off. HostGator.com/FTL. DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, October 13th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.49 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,257 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $638. Antiwar.com reports just a few days after an incident in which the USS Mason, passing through the Bab al-Mandeb Strait off Yemen, believed it was fired at with a pair of missiles from Yemen, the Pentagon is reporting that the same ship, still roughly in the same place, was fired at again, though again the missiles did not hit them. It is still unclear why the USS Mason was still hanging out around the strait when it passed through on its way to the Red Sea, though with Pentagon officials saying they intend to keep U.S. warships there just to prove that they have the freedom to operate off the coast of Yemen. The idea may simply be for U.S. warships to wander around the coast of nations at war and then park as soon as they come under anything resembling fire. The Pentagon is also vowing revenge, saying they will respond at the appropriate time and in the appropriate manner. It is not clear who fired the missiles, however, Pentagon officials claim to have at least some circumstantial evidence suggesting it was Yemen Shiite Houthi movement. The Pentagon cited small boats in the water around the time of the missile fire as evidence that the Houthis might have sent boats out to spot for the attack, and also claimed it was a possibility that the radar station under Houthi control had painted the ship. Since the missiles did not hit or apparently come particularly close, it's not clear that a lot of advanced spotting happened. However, the Houthis have denied involvement. In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports police have analyzed user information from social media networks to track protesters, according to a report from the American Civil Liberties Union. The ACLU found the company Geophedia has been collecting and analyzing user data from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for police, including agencies in Ferguson, Missouri, and Baltimore during protest over improper use of force by police officers. Both Facebook and Twitter cut the developers' access to data streams from the social media networks after discovering Geophedia was providing user data to more than 500 law enforcement agencies, which they consider a violation of their contracts with the company. ACLU public attorney Matt Cagle said in a blog post, because Geophedia obtained the access to Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as developers, it could access a flow of data that would otherwise require an individual to scrape user data off the service in an automated fashion that is prohibited by the terms of service. With this special access, Geophedia could quickly access public user content and make it available to the 500 law enforcement and public safety clients claimed by the company. Facebook terminated Geophedia's access to its network in September. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports in a call for sweeping drug decriminalization, two human rights groups said on Wednesday police in the United States make more than 1.25 million arrests a year for drug possession, more than twice the number for violent crimes, and about half of the arrests are for cannabis. The 196-page report by the American Civil Liberties Union and Human Rights Watch said the war on drugs was a failure, with rates of drug use unchanged since President Richard Nixon launched the campaign more than 40 years ago. The report said state and federal government should decriminalize the use and possession of drugs for personal use and focus instead on prevention and reducing harm. Tessa Borden, the report's author, said in a statement, "These wide-scale arrests have destroyed countless lives while doing nothing to help people who struggle with dependence." The report, citing FBI data, said nearly half of all drug possession arrests in 2015, or more than 574,000 arrests, were for cannabis. FBI data showed in the same year there were 506,000 arrests for violent crimes, such as murder, rape, and aggravated assault. 4 times as many people were arrested for drug possession than for drug distribution. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
It's The Onion Radio News. The nation's last remaining themeless restaurant has closed. This is Doyle Redland reporting. A once vibrant era came to an end today when Pat's Place, the nation's last themeless restaurant, closed its doors in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. During the heyday of themeless restaurants, Pat's Place achieved a certain amount of notoriety for its unique non-themed food items and unadorned atmosphere. But according to owner Patrick Baines, the times have changed.
Lately, we've had only a handful of people coming in to gawk at our posterless walls and mundanely named menu items like hamburgers or pancakes, and then they go someplace like the Rainforest Cafe or Johnny Rockets to actually eat.
Plans are now in the works to convert the Pat's Place location into Cedar Rapids' 7th Patty-O Touchdown sports bar and good time internet grill. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and you are free to call in and discuss whatever is on your mind. That's what we make available to you 7 nights a week. What show does that?
It's crazy.
Makes it so that you can call in and talk about what it is that you want to talk about. We truly do give a platform to you, the listener. And usually the wait times are not that bad on telephone calls, especially if you're interesting. The number 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. And I have a story here where, well, it sounds like Reason Magazine, their Sikha Dalmia, whoever that author might be, is sounding a little breathless when it comes to Donald Trump here, and I'll read it for you. The title, Trump will torch the Supreme Court. Conservatives hoping Trump will be better than Hillary on SCOTUS are fooling themselves. Now, if you were to get me to vote for Trump, the reason that you would get me to vote for Trump is because I am scared of what the Supreme Court will look like when Hillary Clinton's done.
I agree completely. That is the one singular argument that resonates with me at all.
One of the reasons I think the Supreme Court is sort of even is because the up until this point, we've kind of bing-bonged back and forth between Republicans and Democrats most of my life.
Yep.
Now, the one exception being George Bush Sr., who did not get the full 8-term thing, but everybody else has. And so he basically made, because Reagan was such a popular president, he basically had a third term. A third Reagan term was essentially how it went. And he was, of course, mad about Ross Perot ending his streak, was what his claim was. And one thing, this article makes some good points. I wouldn't bring this up if it didn't. This is the touchstone for me, and this is the reason I'm bringing it up, because I like to question the things that I believe. I believe that that's a sign of intelligence, open-mindedness, and if we don't do those things, we can reasonably expect that we will fall right into the patterns that all the dumb people have.
I will be right there at Colorado State University and shouting, no, it's not, no, it's not, no, it's not.
Reason.com. Many conservatives and libertarians are openly flirting with voting for Donald Trump because they fear ceding control of the Supreme Court to liberals. They reckon that Hillary Clinton's judicial appointments are guaranteed to be awful. Trump, on the other hand, despite all his flaws, has no reason to oppose originalist jurists committed to protecting limited government and constitutional checks and balances. If it were any other candidate, this would be a reasonable argument. But this is Donald J. Trump we're talking about. There's no doubt that Trump's the list of potential justices, shrewdly released to calm conservatives jittery over his many heterodoxies, is a good one. It includes judges such as the Seventh Circuit's Dianne Sykes, who wrote a stellar opinion defending the First Amendment, right of Americans to record police officers in public, and 10th Amendment Circuit Court's Gorsuch, who attacked judicial deference to unconstitutional executive edicts. My personal favorite for sentimental reasons is Michigan Supreme Court Justice Robert Young, who married my husband and me and authored a fantastic opinion overturning the notorious Poletown ruling, which had permitted Detroit authorities to use the city's eminent domain powers to bulldoze a flourishing neighborhood to make room for a GM factory. Still, it would be a mistake to put too much stock in Trump's list, and not only because he's an ignoramus who thinks judges sign bills, or because his word is worth less than his bankrupt Atlantic City casinos, or because his temperamental and character flaws are too great to be offset by a good court. I would disagree with that, but okay. I'm not sure I agree with any of these things. Fine. Do I think that his word is worth much? Nah, I think he's kind of flip-floppy. Clearly, if he said judges sign bills, I hope he was, speaking live. Sometimes as a person who speaks live and doesn't write, I have a tendency to say things, they just kind of flow out of my mouth incorrectly. Sorry, it happens. This is one of the natures of speaking live. Do I think he has temperamental and character flaws? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I do. It's because of a Trump presidency will have a transformative effect on the GOP itself. Indeed, by the time he's done, the GOP will have little use for originalism or limited government, whatever the external threat a Clinton presidency represents to these ideas. The internal threat that Trump poses is far greater. It's unclear how many justices the next president will appoint, but if Clinton only fills the late Justice Antonin Scalia's vacant seat, she'll tip the Supreme Court in a liberal direction. That does not justify the apocalyptic tone that some conservative strike, notes Ian Tuttle of the National Review, far from a lefty rag, mind you. That's because setting aside the high-profile cases that both sides use to rally their base on a day-to-day basis, partisan disagreements don't affect the court that much. Tuttle notes that between January 2012 and June 2014, the Supreme Court ruled against the Obama administration unanimously 13 times on everything from recess appointments to abortion clinic buffer zones. Nor was this an anomaly. Since 1995, more than 40% of cases were settled unanimously by the court. 40% of cases since 1995 have been settled unanimously.
That's kind of surprising. I don't doubt the statistic. I have no proof of it, but that kind of catches.
If it's in reason, it's true. I mean, they're not making a spurious claim. Now, another thing that she doesn't mention here, or at least I didn't see, I didn't get this far down in it to see this, is that if the Supreme Court chooses not to hear a case, that again basically should be considered a unanimous decision. So if you consider the decisions where the Supreme Court says, no, we're not going to hear that. Right. That basically means that they've sided with the previous court's ruling.
Yep, the appellate court.
Yeah, and I would think that would be considered a unanimous decision too, which would drive that number up significantly higher. So all I'm trying to do here is I'm reading this for me. How do I feel about this by the time we're done here? Because I got to say, a Clinton presidency where she's going to be able to appoint probably not one, but likely 3 or 4.
Yep.
4 might be on the outside, but 3 isn't really on the outside. If you go look at these people, they're in their 80s.
Yeah.
I know that Clarence Thomas is in his late 60s, and I'm sorry to tell you, but he's a very tall, big man who's black. And I don't think anybody's going to argue with that. And none of those 3 things speaks to a long life.
Right.
So I don't suspect, I'm not jinxing Clarence Thomas here. Good luck. I hope you make it to 100, brother. But, I wouldn't put my money on it.
Right.
So
and that's not a racist comment. That is simply looking at statistics and what life insurance companies do. They look at the actuarial tables and
actuarial, that's the term.
Category 1, Category 2, Category 3. We're going to go ahead and we're going to write that obit now.
Right. I mean, he's the most originalist thinker on the court currently. He hasn't taken much of a leadership role with Scalia running around, but Scalia, he's not running anymore.
Right.
And those are, so those are some things that I think about when I think about these things. All right. So despite their ideological disagreements, justices are far more united than divided on the law, and presidents, by and large, have respected the independence of the judiciary and left the court alone to settle cases as it sees fit. And with some notorious exceptions, like FDR, he famously threatened to force justices who struck down the New Deal into retirement and pack the court with more pliant ones. Now
That's interesting. And FDR definitely brought this up. 9 is a tradition. It's not a law.
It's true.
It's not in the Constitution.
It should be.
You could have 77 judges on the Supreme Court if you wished.
Right, and this is something that the House could make they could make this an amendment. You'd think that Americans would go for it. It doesn't. It's more procedural than anything. We've had 9 justices my whole life. So why don't they just go ahead and alter the Constitution so the president doesn't have this power to stack the deck like FDR did? FDR was stinking fascist.
Because we made it really hard to amend the Constitution.
Yeah.
Rightfully.
This could be done, I'll bet you. I have never seen anybody enter this proposal. It would be a good one. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE or LRN.FM on Skype.
Back to my victim saying, you cost me a lot of misery, and all total, $2,700 in doggy fees, and all it took was 1 container of Dynamite, 2 pounds, 3 ounces, and my dog has been cured. Abby's a 5-year-old Silky Terrier. She had, like, chicken pox on her belly, clusters of bumps on her back, and she was allergic to, like, 70-some-odd things. So the dermatologist, it was, oh, yeah, just keep giving her needles every 10 days. But she's not clearing up. And then it came up on my radio, Dynamite. DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
And I was like, oh, that's it. I give her the Dynamite after 5 weeks. And one morning there was nothing there. And I'm like, oh, my God, she's all clear. There wasn't one blemish on her body. Her fur is beautiful. She is totally happy. She is a healthy, bump-free, pimple-free, shiny, silky. It turned our lives around. So thank you very much for Dynamite. I couldn't be happier. Dynamite's the bomb.
859-428-1000. 859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
For over 5 years, you've been hearing about the Berkey Guy, so you may know a few things about him. For example, you are well aware of the superior quality and effectiveness of Berkey water filters and accessories. But did you know the Berkeys have had independent lab tests done to prove just how effective they are? It's true, and he can email you the test results. Just visit goberkey.com. You may also know that the Berkey Guy has helped tens of thousands of people get better prepared. Now here's something you may not know. GoBerkey.com has amazing specials and deals all the time on a wide variety of survival and preparedness products, most ready to ship same day. Visit the Berkey Guy at goberkey.com and be sure to click the red Products on Sale Now button. You can always call toll-free 877-886-3653. Again, that's 877-886-3653. goberkey.com, home of the Berkey Guy.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country.
Yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can call in and talk about what's on your mind. We're talking about this Reason Magazine or Reason.com article where the author makes the claim that Trump is worse than Clinton when it comes to Supreme Court nominees. Now, that's got to be the thing that concerns me the most about the Clinton administration is her Supreme Court nominations. You know, I'm always an anti-war guy, and I'm never going to vote for somebody who, you know, has been the Secretary of State over an administration that has bombed the hell out of innocent people, and that's certainly what's happened here.
And encourage that path over and over and over.
She's a hawk.
Absolutely.
And I mean, but Trump hasn't exactly. He's no dove either. He might be a little more practical to some people's minds or whatever. But the other thing that concerns me, Supreme Court nominations, because I know that historically, Democratic presidents with Republican Congresses tend to be the best thing for the economy and the best thing for the nation because, frankly, little gets done.
Yeah, and we were talking about that a little bit during our little break, but yeah, gridlock is my favorite thing in Washington. I love to see it when things are heads are buttoned together and they can't do any more damage.
Right. I want Hillary Clinton in there because the Republicans won't deal with her.
Right.
From that standpoint. But when it comes to the Supreme Court nominations, I find her terrifying. So let's go. Let's go to Chuck calling in from California, listening to KVLI. Is that right, Chuck? You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey guys, interesting show tonight.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you about left, mainly the first hour, but the left's lack of respect for free speech. I wanted to know if you guys had seen that YouTube video where a guy went to one of the Ivy League colleges, I think it was Yale, and he set up a table to repeal the First Amendment and got like 60 signatures in less than an hour.
Yes, I did. I saw that.
Yeah. It's incredible what's going on at universities nowadays.
It seems like it. I mean, the hubris that somebody must have. Imagine being 18, 19, 20 years old. You were that at one point, right?
It was awfully long time ago for me.
Long time ago, but I was.
I can tell you one thing about you, me, and Chris when we were 18, 19, 20. We were stupid. And the idea that an 18, 19, or 20-year-old would suggest the destruction of 200 years or more of law because they think it's a good idea, I mean, it's just amazing.
Those are the years. It's the height of hubris.
I guess so.
That's when we just knew everything.
I guess so. I mean, it makes you sad that they gave the 18-year-olds the right to vote. Go ahead.
Well, I remember when back in the 70s when I was pretty young, that one of the sayings was, I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend with my life your right to say it.
Yeah, I remember. Apparently it's not a Voltaire quote,
right?
But I thought it was.
Yeah. I got the poster on my wall, signed by Voltaire, and I don't think it is. Yeah,
that's ancient history. I mean, you couldn't even say that anymore.
Right.
Yeah. That would be forbidden, verboten.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I do appreciate the call.
Correct.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, Chuck. Let's go to Rudy calling in from K-Tox in Arizona. Rudy, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, guys.
What's up?
Couple things. I'm pushing 70. And,
pushing 70?
I'm pushing 70. I'm old.
Gotcha.
And it's been a right-wing court since the Burger Court in '68. Nixon put in the Burger Court. It's been a right-wing court all my adult life.
Yep.
And the vast majority of the decisions by the Supreme Court have been pro-business, pro-big guy, pro-corporations. Not very many decisions towards us. We've got some wins, but
I don't know that I agree with your premise that it's been a right-wing court, but you go ahead.
Well, it's been a 5-4. It's been a majority Republican court since 1948. We're talking Truman. There's been, of the nominees to the Supreme Court, been 8 Republican and 8 Democrat.
Okay, that sounds even.
That's even, 18-8.
Oh, I thought you said 8-8. Excuse me.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the caller. Okay. I'm thinking back through time, and I think you're about right.
Well, the justice is right. Well, before Scalia died, we're considered 4 liberal, 4 conservative, and 1 swing.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm thinking of, just sort of the cycle of which presidents had the appointments, most of the appointments, and it seems to have fallen more often than not in Republican hands to do that.
Yeah, it has.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's the direction the court has been. It's like I say, it's been right wing. It's been basically a conservative court for what are we talking? 40.
All right, that's your claim.
Years?
Go ahead.
Your claim. We'll accept that premise. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
Do you think Hillary Clinton's going to make that better? Do you think that Hillary Clinton is less corporate?
She's more realistic. I know that.
Well, I mean, that's not what we're asking here. Your claim has been that the court has been pro-big business up to this point. Do you think that Donald Trump... I mean, I don't feel like Donald Trump has the ins with the corporate elite. I think he's generally considered a bloviating a-hole, even in those circles. So wouldn't you want Donald Trump in that circumstance?
That's the most correct thing I've ever agreed with you on.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, he's a disaster as far as I'm concerned. But just to get to one point, I heard you just before the break. You talked about FDR, and you called him a fascist, and you pretty much spit out those words. I mean, I've never heard anyone say that about him.
Okay.
I've heard him called the opposite. As in
so a fascist is a person who supports the collusion of big business and government together, and usually has a racial component. We know that from historical writings and that sort of thing. What's that?
Okay, and now I know where you're coming from. I'd have to disagree with that completely. I mean, bottom line is he was fighting fascism.
Just because you fight a different form of fascism, gang members fight gang members. That doesn't make them anti-gang.
Yeah, and there was a lot that happened during FDR's time, and if we kind of take the war out of it and we just deal with his actions during the Great Depression, which was actually on its way back. Our economy was headed up before he got in under Hoover, and then it plummeted again after the 100 days. You can see a ton of collusion between big business and lobbyists and his administration, and it was government picking winners and losers. It was saying, we want this group to benefit, and we know it's going to hurt this group. I don't know what better definition of fascism you could give.
Well, I certainly, I said it right after I talked about FDR stacking the Supreme Court, and I find that this is probably the worst of his activities. He grew the executive power by bullying the others.
Sure.
Your thoughts?
And everyone knows. I mean, my parents were saved by FDR.
I mean, would they have not been saved by the Republican if they had gotten in and left the economy alone? We don't know because we don't have a control group. Thanks for the call, Rudy. I appreciate it. 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live.
Want to build a maintenance-free, low and slow charcoal briquette fire that burns for hours for free? MeatMastersRadio.com will show you how to build a low-temp charcoal fire that's guaranteed fiddle-proof. It's easy and free. MeatMastersRadio.com teaches charcoal barbecue skills on new topics every week. Go to MeatMastersRadio.com. That's MeatMastersRadio.com.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
The easiest thing in the world for a reader to do is to stop reading, according to the late, great Barney Kilgore, who became managing editor of the Wall Street Journal in 1941 and grew the paper's circulation from 33,000 to 1 million by the 60s. And he'd be pleased to know that his paper is one of the few that people now pay to read online. Someone else pre-internet who realized that attention is fragile? Motown Records founder Berry Gordy. In the early 60s, when his label dominated the charts, he'd bring a dozen real people into the Hitsville, USA studios and audition songs. And he'd ask, if you were down to your last dollar, would you spend it on this record or would you buy a sandwich? Today, attention span seems like an oxymoron. For tips on cutting through the clutter, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Helen.
About almost 3 decades ago this fall, little creatures appeared in my consciousness.
Little creatures?
They introduced themselves to me as Matilda and Mumford Rabbit.
Huh.
They come from a higher planet, more spiritually evolved. Matilda Rabbit has a habit of using God's gift of free speech. Matilda Rabbit has the habit of snoring in her sleep, but not before she does implore the Lord her soul to keep.
Is it the same God?
Oh, yeah. Jesus is their word and way on all planets.
Why would they care about Jesus? They don't even live on this planet.
Right. How would they even know? Because Jesus was on our earth, right?
Well, Jesus is not on this planet alone. He's everywhere.
Did he die on a cross in outside of Jerusalem and the other planets too?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. The number is 855-450-3733. It's Mark with you.
And Chris.
You can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. We're talking about thisreason.com article where they claim that Trump will be worse for the Supreme Court than Clinton. Now, I'm reading this because I want to challenge my beliefs. If you could get one thing out of me that I think that Trump would be good for, it would be that, the Supreme Court nominations, I think he'd be superior to Clinton. And, frankly, he'd stir Washington up, right? Like, it's like throwing a bobcat into, I don't know, whatever, some horrible place. And that's sort of the value I see in him. Now, I believe I can be wrong. I know I've been wrong before. So I have to look at I have to get all the information, and that's why I'm reading this article, so that I can bring this information to you, see what you think too. The number is 855-450-3733, and we do have Skype. You can use our username is LRN.FM, as in Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM on Skype. Going on here, Reason.com, if Trump succeeds in remaking the GOP in accordance to his vision, the party's judicial philosophy will change accordingly. Excuse me, I actually wanted to go a little bit further here. For whatever reason, my computer jumped ahead, and something happened. So Trump would be FDR on steroids. He savaged Judge Gonzalo Curiel's Mexican heritage because the judge didn't dismiss the case against Trump University. If something as low stakes as this can set Trump off, imagine what he'll do if the Supreme Court takes up a challenge to a signature issue of his presidency. The Trump presidency is likely to be a rolling wave of one manufactured constitutional crisis after another.
So, really? I'm seeing a little bit of hyperbole in this. I mean, what's he going to do? Okay, they rule against him on the court. So
I guess that the claim would be that he would appoint rather than so he's got some good suggestions for judges up to this point that he's released, but the author is proposing here that once he gets a little taste of what the Supreme Court's going to do, and the Supreme Court often rules against the president, that he will take it personally. That sounds like Trump. And
no doubt.
And then he will switch his nominees to much more fascist, compliant justices for him, even though those justices would go on well past his...
maybe former apprentices.
Right. That's what we need.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
Going on. That, however, isn't likely to be President Trump's worst damage. To the extent that Trump has a vision for the GOP, it's along the lines of European-style workers' parties. His term. That's his term, such as France's National Front. That's an authoritarian, nationalistic, right-wing party whose main goal is to aggressively realign the economy around the interests of domestic workers by fanning the fires of xenophobia and protectionism. That sounds like Trump, does it not?
Maybe.
It does to me.
Just a little.
George Mason University's Ilya Salmon points out that such a party will have no use for federalism, separation of powers, and individual rights. To the contrary, such commitments are likely to be an impediment to its goals.
Okay, so I understand where the author's coming from, but I'm trying to understand the practicality of what Trump could actually do. I think what Trump would actually do is he may throw temper tantrums. He may threaten to stack the court, like FDR did. But I think when presidents do that, that's when people are going to dig in their heels. I think that people that may have been debating retiring this year on the Supreme Court may go, yeah, I can make it one more year.
There's some that can't.
I understand. I understand that. But some of them may be wanting to retire before they get out, and that might cause some people to stay. Secondly, we do have some checks and balances that if I don't anticipate Trump ending up in Washington, should he end up in Washington, with a whole boatload of allies on Capitol Hill.
Agreed.
Yeah,
he's going to have
like none.
A very difficult time getting things done.
Yeah.
Because very few people like him. The Democrats don't like him. The Republicans don't like him. And yeah.
So if you got a president that's been alienated by the legislative branch and by the judicial branch, again, we're back to my perfect world of nothing gets done because nobody's talking to anybody, nobody's getting along.
Presumably his first Supreme Court nomination. So there's a Supreme Court opening right now, and one of his first jobs would be to nominate somebody, and presumably that first person would be off the list that he's already released, right?
Right.
And then if he began to have a hard time of things, then he might go full fascist, literally Hitler, as
right.
many of the those on the left would like you to believe he is. Or, he can just not get things done. I think that if he attempted to stack the Supreme Court like FDR did, that we live in a whole different world. I mean, that's almost 100 years ago.
Sure, but he nominates. He has to nominate, and he has to get ascension of the advice and counsel of the Senate before any of these guys can go forward. So they oppose him. He gets furious. In the meantime, nothing's happening because now you've got Congress even more angry with the president. So, again, I'm just looking for gridlock, and
okay.
And it all works out. What you're describing to me is almost my perfect world.
if Trump succeeds in remaking the GOP in accordance to his vision, the party's judicial philosophy will change accordingly. The Constitution may not be a living document, but it's not written in stone. It's a malleable text which also is open to interpretation. There's nothing in it that says originalism is the correct approach. It's true. We have the nation we have because the Constitution was written the way that it was.
Right.
Yeah, sorry. You would think that writing "shall not be infringed" in front of something would make it abundantly clear, but apparently it doesn't.
But we've also fallen for it depends on what your definition of is. So, when we look at our long history of judicial activism and judicial legislation, which is what we've seen in past Supreme Courts and probably in the existing one, too. I mean, they've taken on some things that they had no right to take on. Gay marriage? I mean, really? Where can you possibly... That was a stretch.
Yeah.
And I support it. Absolutely, wholeheartedly.
But I don't think that the Supreme Court should be involved in it. What about this, though?
I don't even think that the state should be involved in it, but go ahead.
The Supreme Court does, the Constitution says that states will have to honor contracts of other states. Sure. And the Supreme Court would be legitimately over that, it would seem. And marriage is a contract, so shouldn't the Supreme Court be able to rule that if I get a gay marriage in, say, Hawaii, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, that then Utah, Texas, and Oklahoma have to honor it?
But then I also have the 10th Amendment, which says that states' rights, if powers that are not enumerated
to the federal government,
go to the people or to the states. So
I'm willing to say that if a state should be able to say who can and can't get married, but I'm not willing to say that a state can say who another state can say is married.
Right.
So if somebody comes to America married, a gay couple comes to America married in Great Britain, I believe that a state should have to honor that, or at least have to deal with the British courts or something to figure it out. So here in the United States, where the Constitution says the contract should be honored among states, that if I get a contract in one state, that I really do expect that contract to be honored in another state. So that's why
I see where you're going with that, and I don't necessarily agree or disagree. But the other thing I believe is that things tend to work themselves out as society changes and grows and progresses, and that even the conversation of gay marriage would never have taken place 40, 50 years ago.
That's true.
Couldn't have.
But it isn't taking place now. Gay marriage is over because the Supreme Court ruled.
Exactly.
Almost nobody has a problem with it these days.
Right. But what I'm saying is that in some of these examples where the court has chosen to take a particular action, maybe it would have worked itself out anyway, and we wouldn't have had to gone down this path.
Your thoughts, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE here on Free Talk Live or LRN.FM on Skype. 855-450-FREE.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-959-5928. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-959-5928. That's 1-800-959-5928. 1-800-959-5928.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. See website for details.
Need some extra cash today? Do you have bad credit or maxed out credit cards? If so, turn your radio up. 45cash.com is one of the nation's largest personal loan networks with over 50 different lenders. Now you can get a personal loan for up to $5,000 with any type of credit discreetly from your computer or smartphone and with no paperwork to send in. That's right, no paperwork whatsoever. Your cash will hit your bank account as soon as tomorrow, as our lenders have millions of dollars to lend regardless regardless of your credit history. Visit 45cash.com and you can have up to $5,000 in no time. Just have a checking account and a regular source of income, and you can get the loan you need now, regardless of your credit. Go to 45cash.com from your smartphone or computer to get the cash you need. Visit 45cash.com. Type www.45cash.com directly into the address bar. That's 45cash.com. 45cash.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
On the second Saturday of every month, the Texas Republic Congress meets in a joint session. To learn how you can attend or become a member of Congress, visit thetexasrepublic.com. And together, we can liberate Texas.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Talking about Trump and the Supreme Court. I got to say, before this evening, before reading this article, and I'm not sure that my opinion's changed yet. I'm just saying, before reading this article, my opinion was that Trump would be better for Supreme Court nominations than Clinton from my point of view. And I am always willing to look at, things that disagree with my point of view, especially if they're published by Reason.com. So we're going through this article and figuring it out. And picking right back up where we left off, so don't expect Trump's GOP to die on the cross of originalism. Far more likely, says Somnan, that it'll embrace judicial deference, or the view that the proper function of courts is to defer to the political branches, not necessarily keeping each branch within its constitutional limits. That would be much more convenient for the GOP's new agenda, and there are plenty of judges who are inclined to this view already, he says. And the transformed GOP is likely to elevate them and marginalize originalists in the age of Trump. So the idea is that somehow those of us, and I'd say that this is the base of the Republican Party, are looking for sort of an originalist look at the Constitution, small government, these sorts of things. That those people will get, ignored by the political class within the Republican Party. Not like that's never happened, and they'll just ignore it and do whatever they want. Voting for Trump out of concern for the Supreme Court and originalism then is like handing the keys of your church to an arsonist clutching a can of gasoline in one hand and matches in the other, and hoping that somehow he'd spare the inner sanctum in the holy book. He won't. The tragedy is, but by the time Trump burns it all down, the GOP might well be past the point of caring. And so that's the claim there from, what's this author's name? It was difficult for me to pronounce, but this is from Reason.com. It's Sika Dalmia. And I don't know. Are you convinced by this?
No, I'm not.
I don't think I am either.
Yeah.
I think that she brings up some great points. I like what I liked the facts that were presented early on, that essentially the Obama administration has been, handed rulings by this court, unanimous rulings by this court.
Oh, yeah.
Judges that he appointed have ruled against him on multiple occasions, that 40% of rulings are unanimous by the Supreme Court. That and when you can consider that also in that many of the rulings are rulings by abstentia, so they refuse to hear a lot of cases.
Yep.
Thus, making the previous ruling, legit.
It is a ruling in a sense.
So
Yep,
you
absolutely.
could almost go so far as, if you wanted to sort of liberally state it, is that the Supreme Court basically in 80% of the circumstances chooses to rule unanimously. It's difficult to sort of state that succinctly, but if you consider a deferment by the Supreme Court to refuse to hear a case, or refusal to hear a case as a unanimous ruling, and then you add that to the already 40% of unanimous rulings they have, then the Supreme Court seems to be split rarely.
Yeah, I don't see and her premises, it's the worst case scenario. I don't see that happening. I think, should he win, which right now looks like it would take a miracle.
I don't know if it looks like it take a miracle, but
dare I call it today? No, but my position today is he's a long way from the White House.
Okay.
If he were to go in, then I think he would be wise enough to choose from his list. He would choose somebody that would be very palatable to everyone he's offended, which has pretty much been the entire Republican Party, it seems. So he would pick someone that would be along those lines. One of his very, very popular picks that was on his list. And I can't imagine that he would be able, first of all, that he would nominate somebody who was so repugnant to the Constitution, and then to have a Senate which is going to hate him actually give their advice and consent and support that nominee.
There's enough Republican senators that dislike Trump that they would agree with Democrats not to appoint the people that he wants to put in. Now, Trump's going to have a hell of a time getting appointments in the Supreme Court, too.
I'll give you one. By the end of his term, should he win, there'll be 3 Supreme Court justices left. That'll be your court. How's that?
Well, I find it preferable to Hillary Clinton appointing
I do, too.
Supreme Court justices. So, I don't know. I can tell you this. Supposedly, Anonymous has a video of Bill Clinton having sex with a 14-year-old. That would change everything, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Is that the Lolita Airlines or
I don't believe
something
it.
else? Yeah.
I don't know whether I believe it. If you got this video, release it. But, maybe they're waiting for another week or two so they get the news cycle right around the election. I don't know.
I think the challenge, and the mainstream media, for the most part, does side with the liberals, sides with the Democrats.
Like it to me.
It seemed like that to me for the last 30, 40 years.
It's not unlikely that people tend to think that they're the underdog. You'll look at that. So because I am, I've voted Republican most of my life. I get that the Republicans aren't great or anything like that, but I'm willing to state that I've got a Republican bias.
I look at this last week or so where you have Trump saying some absolutely horrendous things, caught on a hot mic. Yeah, that was horrible. But I also see in the same week all the hacks of Hillary's email, John Podesta's emails, and
just ignored,
completely ignored,
pretty well ignored. I mean, not completely, but pretty well ignored. But I mean, you got to
they've done a really good job of ignoring it.
Grabber, buyer, whatever, has a lot more currency in cable news than...
Absolutely.
Well, it turns out that Hillary says one thing in front of one group of people and another thing in front of another group of people, like every other politician does.
Right.
And let's not forget Obamacare. We know that Clinton's going to keep Obamacare and all of its warts and foibles.
Oh, she'll make it even better.
Trump is much more likely to overturn it and will attempt to try to do something that's superior.
Right.
Healthcare is messed up here in the United States, and frankly, we need a healthcare system that focuses on health and not sickness. Sure, health insurance pays for treating sickness, but it gets you nothing, gives you nothing for being healthy. And that kind of incentivizes being sick, doesn't it? Well, there's a free market healthcare company that can give you freedom from health insurance. HealthExcellenceSelect.com. They give you a proactive health assessment daily and no charge 24-hour access to doctors over the phone. HIP has messed up medical records so much that one doctor doesn't know what the others are doing. Well, how about a medical information card that you can give to EMS, first responders, emergency room, or whatever medical professional you want? You can check them out right now. HealthExcellenceSelect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, massage. You'll love the service and the price. Yes, it's ACA, Obamacare compliant. HealthExcellenceSelect.com. That's HealthExcellenceSelect.com. I don't think I'm entirely convinced by this article, but I do think that it was a good one and well worth the read here.
I agree.
When it comes to Clinton and Trump, I just can't bring myself to vote for one of these people. I'm gonna vote for. I'm leaning towards Gary Johnson. I have 4 Gary Johnson yard signs out on my property. I'm sure you've seen them on your way home.
Mm-hmm.
You have to drive by my house to get there.
I do.
And I probably will vote for Gary Johnson because I believe him to be the, he's most closely aligned with my small government values. He's 2-time New Mexico governor. And lastly, he's not really interested in all this foreign policy stuff. He's, maybe he doesn't know where Aleppo is. Thank goodness. That means he can't bomb it. I know where Hillary knows where it is, and she's ready to go in there. U.S. forces are ready to. I mean, it's looking bad between the United States and Russia right now.
It would be a refreshing change, and I'm as I said to you before, I remain undecided. I don't know what I'm going to do on Election Day. I don't know if I'm going to vote for anybody.
I didn't know what I was going to do on the primary day. Rand Paul dropped out.
Right.
And I was, by the way, I was on the ballot, that day because is that right? No, I was running for office, but I wasn't going to be on the ballot that day. It was later on, a couple of months later. Anyway, I felt like I had to go and, show up, being part of the political process and all that stuff. But I didn't know who I was going to vote for. I really didn't. And I was like thanking my lucky stars that it's a blind ballot and nobody knows who anybody votes for, because that way I could, maybe I won't tell I won't tell anybody who I voted for or whatever. And I just kept going down the road, driving my F-350, not knowing what I was going to do. Just not knowing.
I know that feeling. Yes.
And I finally had to come to a decision right there before it all, it came down, and I didn't have any candidate I liked. Well, for those of you who don't know, I don't think very many of you do, put my chip on Trump. Not like I like him.
You heard it here first, folks.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Well, tipping might be a great way. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card-sized Bitcoin tip that is easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets, spending, and returns to the user if unused? Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
You've said it yourself. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Health insurance pays for treating sickness but gives you nothing for being healthy. There's a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from health insurance. They give you a proactive health assessment daily, no charge 24-hour access to doctors. Check them out right now at HealthExcellenceSelect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and price. HealthExcellenceSelect.com. HealthExcellenceSelect.com.
This is your Robertson & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is $4 higher at $1,258 per ounce. Silver is 8 cents higher at $17.61 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $636 US. Robertson Roberts has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. Call Robertson Roberts Brokerage today at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, October 13th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.49 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,257 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $638. Antiwar.com reports just a few days after an incident in which the USS Mason, passing through the Bab al-Mandeb Strait off Yemen, believed it was fired at with a pair of missiles from Yemen. The Pentagon is reporting that the same ship, still roughly in the same place, was fired at again, though again the missiles did not hit them. It is still unclear why the USS Mason was still hanging out around the strait when it passed through on its way to the Red Sea, though with Pentagon officials saying they intend to keep U.S. warships there just to prove that they have the freedom to operate off the coast of Yemen. The idea may simply be for U.S. warships to wander around the coast of nations at war and then park as soon as they come under anything resembling fire. The Pentagon is also vowing revenge, saying they will respond at the appropriate time and in the appropriate manner. It is not clear who fired the missiles, however, Pentagon officials claim to have at least some circumstantial evidence suggesting it was Yemen's Shiite Houthi movement. The Pentagon cited small boats in the water around the time of the missile fire as evidence that the Houthis might have sent boats out to spot for the attack, and also claimed it was a possibility that the radar station under Houthi control had painted the ship. Since the missiles did not hit or apparently come particularly close, it's not clear that a lot of advanced spotting happened. However, the Houthis have denied involvement. In 1999, Daryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Daryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports police have analyzed user information from social media networks to track protesters, according to a report from the American Civil Liberties Union. The ACLU found the company Geophedia has been collecting and analyzing user data from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for police, including agencies in Ferguson, Missouri, and Baltimore during protest over improper use of force by police officers. Both Facebook and Twitter cut the developers access to data streams from the social media networks after discovering Geophedia was providing user data to more than 500 law enforcement agencies, which they consider a violation of their contracts with the company. ACLU public attorney Matt Cagle said in a blog post, because Geophedia obtained the access to Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as developers, it could access a flow of data that would otherwise require an individual to scrape user data off the service in an automated fashion that is prohibited by the terms of service. With this special access, Geophedia could quickly access public user content and make it available to the 500 law enforcement and public safety clients claimed by the company. Facebook terminated Geophedia's access to its network in September. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports in a call for sweeping drug decriminalization, 2 human rights groups said on Wednesday police in the United States make more than 1.25 million arrests a year for drug possession, more than twice the number for violent crimes, and about half of the arrests are for cannabis. The 196-page report by the American Civil Liberties Union and Human Rights Watch said the war on drugs was a failure, with rates of drug use unchanged since President Richard Nixon launched the campaign more than 40 years ago. The report said state and federal government should decriminalize the use and possession of drugs for personal use and focus instead on prevention and reducing harm. Tessa Borden, the report's author, said in a statement, "These wide-scale arrests have destroyed countless lives while doing nothing to help people who struggle with dependence." The report, citing FBI data, said nearly half of all drug possession arrests in 2015, or more than 574,000 arrests, were for cannabis. FBI data showed in the same year there were 506,000 arrests for violent crimes, such as murder, rape, and aggravated assault. 4 times as many people were arrested for drug possession than for drug distribution. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Florida officials announced today its plan to experiment with new 600-lever voting machines.
The machine operates through a very straightforward process that we think is going to give Floridians the peace of mind that their votes will be counted. The voter turns on the machine using these 30 levers at the top and then enters their names and social security numbers using the alphanumeric levers near the bottom here. Right about now, the voter's going to have to find the 2 levers on the machine that are exactly identical and pull them at the same time. Then they're going to have to...
The new 22-foot-tall steam-powered machines, which officials are hailing as, quote, the future of voting, each feature over 45 separate panels of levers, along with an intricate series of valves, knobs, cranks, and pumps, all designed to streamline the electoral process.
Now, some of this may seem confusing, but every voter will be given a comprehensive 2,200-page manual when they enter their precinct that will explain exactly what to do.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, and you are free to call in about anything that's on your mind here on this live edition of Free Talk Live. Here, it's Mark with you.
And Chris.
The number is 855-450-3733. We do have some show prep, but I'm going to go right to the phones. Cole calling in from Alaska. Cole, you're on Free Talk Live. Cole, what's on your mind?
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
All's well.
I wanted to call because just the other day I was driving down the road and got pulled over, and I got a ticket for driving without insurance. I wasn't doing anything wrong on the road. It's just my tags were expired. And I can't say anything bad about the officer. He was lenient in that he didn't, get me for the tags and the insurance, but he did give me a pretty hefty fine for the missing insurance. And I was curious. I'm thinking about challenging it in court. And I was wondering if y'all or any of the listeners who could call in have any experience with that, especially in Alaska, or know anything. I've been reading online about right to travel, and I've heard y'all talk about it a little bit. I know it's, kind of hit or miss, but I was curious what your advice would be in this situation.
Oh, my advice is that when it comes to, there are laws that obey as many of them as you can, so you don't have to give them free money. But when it comes to insurance, if you're responsible for the things that you do, then insurance is superfluous, right?
Right.
Obviously, if you couldn't afford insurance, then you couldn't be responsible for whatever damage you might have done to somebody. So insurance would be a pretty good idea. Most states don't have the insurance that they do require isn't particularly valuable anyway.
Right.
In Florida, I think it was like $20,000 or $50,000 or something in medical bills, which is not much these days. So their laws requiring insurance might as well be not on the books in the first place. I don't know that I necessarily believe in a right to travel. If there is a right to travel, it is the most tenuous and difficult to prove of the rights. So no one would claim that there's a right to travel across my property.
I think there's absolutely a right to travel.
All right.
The right to travel is, going back to Articles 9 and 10 of the Constitution, of the Bill of Rights, there's nowhere in the Constitution that no enumerated power gives government, in my mind, the power to regulate something like that.
Roads?
Thank you.
I concur with you that the government doesn't have a right to manage roads, or they shouldn't be managing roads, but that doesn't mean that there's necessarily a right to travel. Where does this right to travel exist?
It started out when I'll even go back before we started
to travel.
before we started walking on 2 legs, because that's not true, we had a right to travel when we walked on 4 legs.
Yeah.
It's a natural right. It's something that has been there since the dawn of time.
So who administers these? Who decides where these roads go, and administers new ones and things like that? Isn't it all private property? Right? I mean,
started out that way.
And at this point, if I want to build a road on my property for people to go through, they don't have a right to travel on it. They have the privilege, if they pay me or whatever means by which I wish this road to go. I mean, I think that. I don't think that the government's good at this. I don't think that a license makes somebody a better driver. I don't think that the requirement to have insurance is particularly effective when governments do it. But
no, and it's a result of crony capitalism. Do you not think that the insurance industry had a hand in coming up with mandatory insurance laws?
Bet they did, Cole.
If I may interject for a minute, I can see the argument for, if it were a private road and then requiring insurance and licenses, that makes perfect sense. And it gets a little bit messy being a government-funded road. But I can still see the argument. My main concern is not necessarily, making the moral argument, is the legal argument. Do you think I would, if I were to make an argument like this in court,
haven't seen it done yet.
Haven't seen it done yet. I mean, obviously, if the officer doesn't show up, and I might be able to motion to dismiss.
Yeah, I would look into markstevens.net, M-A-R-C, Stevens.net. He has had some success with different, theories. If you want to go this sort of, the theory route, his is probably the best. If you want to go the sort of straight, governmental route, then check out jurisdictionary.com. Both of those resources are good for what they do. I haven't seen too much of this stuff work. If it did, then everybody would be beating a path to its door.
Yeah, and you really do want to become an expert before your court case as much as you can on Alaska's actual statute, and research any challenges that have been made against it before and see if any of them ever stuck.
I beat up a cop like you wouldn't believe on the stand for a speeding ticket.
Mm-hmm.
I showed that pulling somebody over was more dangerous than the whatever speed I might have been going. I mean, that's a dangerous activity, putting a car with lights designed to catch your attention on the side of the road, then walking a public employee up and down the side of the road. I mean, cops get knocked into ditches every year.
Yep.
But, somehow my 15 miles an hour or whatever it was over the limit was, that's terrible. I showed that there was collusion between the judiciary and the executive, and the fact that he was allowed to carry a gun into the court and I'm not. They took my pocket knife, for God's sake. I showed all kinds of stuff. The judge said, I've known this officer for years and I find in favor of the officer, and I said, okay, where's the jail cell? Because I'm not paying this. And he said, you don't have to pay. Because all you have to do is, do some community service. I said, fine, great, show me where to do that. I did the community service at PorcFest. I did emceeing at the Porcupine Freedom Festival to pay off my ticket. I mean, all they wanted to do was have their system shown to be valid. They didn't care whether or not I bowed to them. I didn't pay a penny.
Right,
Cole. I hope you do well in this, but I don't have a lot of hope. I don't have a lot of belief that it's going to work out. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, like that, to me, it's like, even if I were to, let's say the judge was to validate my right to travel, it's not like that would get very far. No one would believe me unless I recorded it, and even if I recorded it, no one on YouTube is going to watch it. Maybe a few of your listeners.
If you get a judge that says in court that you've got a right to travel, and that you you don't have to have insurance in the state of Alaska because you have claimed that right to travel, by God, you'll be the most viewed thing in the libertarian circles in that week, and I will make sure that you are.
Oh yeah,
I will run that video out on Free Talk Live, my personal Facebook page, Twitter, everything that we've got. I will. Please get that video and give it to me. Let me put it on Free Talk Live's YouTube page because I want the views.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, that's just the thing I'm debating, because to me it's a gamble. If I take a court date, I got to put a lot of time into my research.
Yeah, you do.
I got to take a day off work, and that costs me money. So
that's what they're counting on.
If I pay, exactly. That's the same thing. That's what they're counting on. So I don't want to give in, but,
We all got
I
lives.
don't know what to
The
do
farther
in
you
this
get from the moment that you got the ticket, the less emotional investment you'll have with it. And this is another thing, is they pump these things down the road months and months so that you don't have, you just don't have that emotional drive to do it like they did before. For them, it's a grist mill. It's a machine. They chew you up and spit you out because they chew up everybody and spit them out. You're just, oh, you want to get in here and talk for 20 minutes? No problem. Talk away. Guilty. Bam. Like that's.
Well, sometimes I have one friend here locally who he's very much, right to travel. His tags, he's taken his tags off his vehicle.
God bless him.
He's done all this stuff, and he says that he has got out of two. One was a parking ticket, and they wrote him up for that. And knowing the guy, he talks a lot. And I have no doubt, he said, I got in there and I gave that judge heck for 45 minutes straight. They couldn't get a word in edgewise, and he finally dismissed me. I'm like, okay, that's one way to win. If you can wear him down in court where they're just tired of you, good for you.
Yeah, and if that much is true. Your ticket, whatever that ticket might be, Cole, thanks for the call. If you want to comment on this, the number is 855-450-3733, 855-450-FREE. Your ticket, it's chump change to them. Meaningless. They'd so much rather dismiss it, not create any kind of precedent or whatever, and just get you out of there if you're, good enough at just making enough noise. And that happens all the time. 855-450-3733. That's why I mentioned Mark with a C, Stevens.net, because that's basically what his system is. A bit more than that. You got to check it out. Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
You are what you eat? No, not true. You are what you can absorb, because not absorbing nutrition leads to nutritional deficiency and degenerative diseases. Medication does not fix nutritional deficiencies, and North American soil is now 85% nutritionally depleted. That means your body is not getting the vitamins it needs from just grown foods. Introducing Protovite, the world's first and only full-spectrum protosomal supplement. Protovite is a proprietary liquid system that allows premium quality nutrients to positively affect the blood in an astonishing 5 minutes. That's rapid absorption. Then Protovite liquid continues to release sustained nutrition in the stomach, intestines, and colon over a prolonged period of time. See Protovite in action. Watch our amazing 2-minute live blood cell video today at TrueHealthFacts.com. That's TrueHealthFacts.com, or call 502-410-3411, 502-410-3411. Protovite is nutrition you can feel. Protovite is nutrition that gets in.
Are you tired of brown rust stains on your toilets, sinks, and clothes? Does your water smell and taste bad? Don't live with these problems anymore. Hydrocare's revolutionary well water systems, available at Wave Home Solutions, gives you clean, healthy, great-tasting water from every faucet. They remove iron, hydrogen sulfides, sediment, and many other contaminants that are distasteful and damaging your fixtures. You'll be amazed how fresh and clean well water can be. Satisfaction guaranteed. Go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on the smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, live Thursday edition, and you can call in and talk about whatever you want to talk about here on Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
And Chris.
And we've got I've got a story coming up here where apparently a 911 operator hung up on thousands of emergency calls. And that's a pretty big deal. But it's Free Talk Live. Let's go to the phones. We got Parker. Parker, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Mark.
Hey, guys.
So, I heard the last caller, and one thing that I heard from this one former deputy sheriff from Texas, Eddie Craig, who is now the host of Rule of Law Radio, is he basically says, under no circumstances, with the exception of a driver's discretion, should you ever give a cop your license, registration, or proof of insurance, because those can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Well, that's interesting.
No kidding.
Yeah, I mean, basically the idea is that you should ask the officer questions, and
that's always a good idea to ask people who are attempting to get money from you, hey, wait a second. I mean, when they flip those lights on and that sort of thing. Now, I would think that there are laws that say that you would have to give your license and registration and insurance and proof of insurance or whatever, but
those laws only apply to, according to, or based on the knowledge or understanding that I have, those laws only apply to commerce. And
that's the claim. Yeah.
Right.
Like, this isn't a car, this is a vessel. Or, whatever I've heard it all before.
Right.
Whoa. I've got stickers and signs on my car that say this isn't an automobile, this is a vessel. Or it's not a vessel, it's an automobile, whatever the claims are. I mean, I don't even know, but come on. Really? I mean, really? That's what we're hanging our hat on, is that the lawmakers in your state capital are so full of integrity that they may write these laws and attempt to enforce them upon regular human beings, but they're really only doing it for vehicles in commerce.
Well, I mean, whether that's not really neither here nor there.
It's really important.
That's exactly the point.
Right, well,
I mean, these people are part of an armed gang that will send out their armed fundraising foot soldiers to get your money, and they wrote their laws to say that they could.
Yeah. But the thing is that if you shouldn't have to give a cop your license, registration, or proof of insurance.
I think that's an interesting point. Is this going to be used against me in a court of law, officer?
That's a good one to.
Are you conducting an investigation? And is this information, if I give you my license, my registration, and my proof of insurance, will that be used against me? Will you be using that in a court of law?
See, now I'd like to see that taken.
That's a question that I would have. I think that's a great question.
Here's the exact line of questioning for what you should say to a cop when they pull you over. The first question that you should ask them is, for the record, can I get your name and badge number, please? Once you have that, or if you can get their business card, then ask them, Officer blank, badge number or ID number blank, is there a recording being made of this encounter? There are 3 sub-questions that go into that. It's up to the driver if they want to ask those. From there, it goes, Officer blank, badge number blank, what is the emergency and how can I help? Because in some states, according to Eddie Craig, a officer can demand aid from someone to help in an investigation or to help aid in an emergency.
Yep.
So from there, the next question would be, Officer blank, badge number blank, what facts or information are you alleging gave you probable cause to stop and accost me? That's going to be an important question later on.
Okay.
Officer blank, badge number blank, do you have any properly signed or issued warrants authorizing you to search me or my property? Now, if yes, Officer blank, badge number blank, do you currently have the alleged warrant in your possession? If so, I would like to see it, please.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
So I just, not to interrupt, but I think a lot of these things go back, and how the state claims to cover themselves is when you get a driver's license, which the state has claimed that if you're going to ride on our roads, then you must have one of these things, that when you sign for your driver's license, you are also signing consent that you will, I know this is the case in at least Pennsylvania, that you will agree to identify yourself and provide your driver's license when pulled over by the police, and you will also consent to a breathalyzer should they request one from you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but they address that later on. Because the entire goal of this is simply to paint the officer into a corner, into a legal corner, where you've basically asked them all these leading questions where they have to answer them, because if they don't, they're going to look bad. And if they answer,
I agree that this line of questioning is very interesting. I do want to hear the rest of it. Go on.
Okay, so number 6.
By the way, there's a caveat to anybody listening. This line of questioning may or may not end you up in a jail cell. Go ahead.
Right.
It very much could, because the end result, if the officers get really pissed, they could try and charge you for a DUI or drug possession or something. And Eddie Craig makes that very clear in his presentation and in this article. So Moving on to number 7. For the record, I am not operating in a for-hire capacity by engaging in any form of transportation or other commercial use of the highways. Officer blank, badge number blank, please acknowledge that you have been so informed.
Okay, go ahead.
So, there's that. 8. Officer blank, badge number blank, am I under a custodial arrest? 9. If I'm not under a custodial arrest, am I free to go? At this point, if they say, no, you are not under a custodial arrest, for the love of God, leave. Just get away from them.
Well, okay, so I'm going to have some advice against that. Just because you're not under arrest does not mean you're not being detained, because they need probable cause to arrest you, reasonable articulable suspicion to detain you. A ticket is considered arrest, so they can very well claim an arrest. But if you just pull on out of there without being clear that you're not being detained, that they don't have reasonable articulable suspicion that you've committed a crime, which if you're getting pulled over by a police officer, likely you have committed a violation by their estimation.
And what I would hear is the officer get on the radio and say, suspect fleeing the scene, and then you may be putting your life in danger.
And let's not forget that there's no small amount of people who have been shot just for driving a car near a police officer.
Exactly my point.
Do you have more on this one, Parker?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot more, but...
Well, I don't know if I want to hear the whole thing, but I want to hear your reaction. Please just hold the line if you would.
Okay.
The number's 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE, Free Talk Live. What are your thoughts on this?
hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu 641-793-9660. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. We've been talking about the right to travel. Now I'm skeptical that there's a right to travel, at least skeptical that it what it functions like. What does a right to travel look like? But I'm interested in people talking about it. My number, the number is 855-450-3733. It's Mark with you.
And Chris.
855-450-FREE. Let's go back to, I got Parker on here. Yeah, I do. Okay.
Yep.
Parker, can you hear me?
So, yeah. So going back to what we were talking about before the break. So I mentioned that in question 9, you should ask an officer, if I'm not under custodial arrest, then am I free to go? Now, they could say no, in which case you are, in fact, still being detained.
Okay.
In which case, you move on to question number 10.
If they right, so if they say that you're free to go, if those words come out of their mouths that you're free to go, get out of there. I will agree with that.
Right.
Now, when I'd like to know where these questions are. Where are you finding these?
I found this. Well, there's a watermark on the pages I'm reading.
Yeah.
It's called taooflaw.com.
Okay, tell you what, I want to put this up on the Facebook page for people to take a look. Can you email the link to me at mark@freetalklive.com after the show, and I'll get it up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so we move on to question number 10, if they say that you are not free to go, in which case you ask the officer, Officer blank, badge number blank, what is the articulable probable cause that leads you to believe that I have committed a crime, or am about to commit a crime that authorizes you to stop and detain or arrest me? Question 11. For the record, Officer blank, badge number blank, in order to protect my rights and not waive any by error or accident, I wish to clarify my legal understanding of the situation. A, you said I am not free to go, so I must conclude that I am in a custodial arrest, and I'm not simply an investigative detention. B, therefore, I am invoking all my fundamentally protected rights, including my right to remain silent and my right to assistance of counsel. C, for this moment, or from this point forward, I do not consent to providing you with any information or documents that could or will be used against me in a court of law to
I find this fascinating. So it's very interesting is that what you've shown here is what this guy's suggesting is that you wouldn't have to show you wouldn't have to show your license, your proof of insurance, your registration, or anything, because that is information that can and will be used against you, and therefore you would your Fifth Amendment rights allow you to not testify against yourself, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that this is very interesting. Now, I would love to see this done, but I can't even. I can't even. I just don't even know what's going on here. Surely there are laws that say that you must provide your license and registration and proof of insurance to an officer when he demands them. But at the same time, you have this sort of constitutional prescription against incriminating yourself.
Sure.
Well, what's interesting, Mark, is that Eddie Craig said that there is a specific. There are laws on the books that say that you have to identify yourself to a police officer, but there's nothing that states that you have to provide license, registration, or proof of insurance. The only thing that you have to tell them is your name and your date of birth. You do not want to give them any false names, because that would be lying to a police officer, and that would be something that could get you in trouble. But you don't want to tell them no name. Even if they tell you, really, when they how can they pass a law that says that I have to provide my name to an officer if that is going to further incriminate me? I don't know if there's a law so much that says that.
Yeah.
I may, but there may be circumstances where it is in your best interest to basically say, all right, this is who I am, and this is when I was born. The rest is on you to figure that much out.
Yeah. But I know some states have laws specifically that require you to identify yourself, to produce identification. And I'm not sure exactly how it's worded, but, in New Hampshire, you don't have to provide identification if you're walking down the street, but if you're behind the wheel of an automobile on a road, then you do. So the other thing I would question is whether this is truly an all 50 states sort of thing, because you've got a whole lot of variation in how states handle the rules of the road, so to speak.
that would definitely be a question for former Sheriff's Deputy Eddie Craig. So you have sub question C, and then it goes into. Would you like me to finish reading sub question C, or do you just want me to go into D?
Go to D.
Okay, so from D it goes. From this point forward, please do not ask me to answer any questions or to perform any form of test relating to the matter whatsoever without my attorney present.
So this guy is a former sheriff, you said?
He is a former sheriff from Texas.
All right, go ahead.
So E, Officer blank, badge number blank. Do you intend to harm, injure, or punish me by any method of assault, arrest, and or incarceration because I've invoked these fundamentally protected rights?
Okay. Yes. Go on.
Now, it says here, understand this. When you refuse to produce the demanded documents or to answer any questions, the officer is going to begin to get upset.
Sure.
And continuously state that, quote, the law requires that you produce these a driver's license and other information on demand of a law enforcement officer. They are also prone to falsely accuse you of obstructing or interfering with public or duty officers, or other outright threatening to commit acts of violence against you and or your property. Don't fall for this. It's a scare tactic. Invoking and refusing your right to waive your fundamentally rights is not and cannot be converted into a crime. And if they do arrest and charge you falsely for interfering / obstructing, then you get to sue the crap out of them.
Okay, now this is the part I'm with him on. If you've gone through and you have asked a police officer who's pulled you over sincere questions, and that's what these are, they're all directly related to what's going on, and you're trying to establish something or identify, what the officer is attempting to do, and he just says, I'm tired of your crap, Mark.
I haven't got time for this. Bam, 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 bam.
Well, hopefully not that.
Well,
but
happened.
Hopefully drag you out of the car and slap the cuffs on you and take you in. Okay, now you got a lawsuit.
I got to say that whenever I've tried stuff like this with the police, they get real respectful real fast. They don't, I have that I'm an ACLU attorney look to me, right?
You kind of do. You kind of do, yeah.
And they're just not going to, they're just not going to mess with me, Now, the thing is there's a lot of different people from a lot of different lifestyles that are out there listening to this, and this isn't going to work for everybody. I'll bet you this works for me. Go ahead. Sorry.
The only way that this will work for people is if they memorize as much of this as they can, and if they role play. Because just like with
I want to know why judges get tickets.
Hold on.
If this works,
right?
Why do judges get tickets? I agree with you, Parker. We're going to put this up on the Facebook page. Thanks for the call.
Hold on.
Thanks.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. The clock waits for no one here on Free Talk Live. Your calls, if you get them in here, the final segment of Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733.
All right, listen up, because this is the most important thing you're going to hear all day. What if I said you could make money flipping houses without any cash, credit, or manual labor? And what if I said you could do it part-time from the comfort of your home? Sound unflippin' believable? Hi, I'm Preston Neely, and I'm going to prove it by sending you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It sells online for $19.95, but I'm giving away free copies this week. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-960-4295. I used to be so broke, I had my electricity shut off 9 times, but I figured out a simple way to make money flipping houses without even breaking a sweat. Now I'm living the good life, and so should you. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. Hands down, it's the fastest, easiest way to get started in real estate. Let me prove it. Call right now to find out how to get your free book. When they're gone, they're gone. Call 1-800-960-4295. 1-800-960-4295.
There was a mighty nation, blessed above all of creation.
Charlie Daniels, he's always loved America. He's always defended the Second Amendment.
Let me just read a little thing here from Agenda 21. The American system of justice must be changed to conform to the rest of the world. Individual rights will have to take a back seat to the collective. Well, you know what the next move's going to be, don't you? It's going to be coming after your guns.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you, it ain't going to sit well down my way at all. It ain't gonna sit well.
Do you ever wonder what happened to America?
It's time to ride, boys. We need 1,000 Paul Reveres.
When I was a boy, it was okay to be proud of the flag, heritage, mom, and apple pie. And beef was for supper. Revelation, dawn of global government. Theatrical screenings on demand. DVDs now available. Starring Alex Jones, Charlie Daniels, Special Ops General Jerry Boykin. Want to shed some tears over the red, white, and blue? Revelation, the movie.info. Let's fix it.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Final segment. It's Mark with you.
And Chris.
You can give us a call. Well, probably not. Probably not. Never mind. We're going to just take callers here, but I want to get something out here real quick. So, if during this election season you thought to yourself, maybe if I had gotten involved sooner, things would have been different. Because, look, the more effort you put in before the election, way before, the more that effort's amplified. Well, the major parties, they put up their worst candidates this year. The Libertarian Gary Johnson, he's performed in the polls far better than any Libertarian has in my lifetime. And you know, he's become a real factor in some states, as have other third-party candidates. There are those that are delighted by Gary Johnson. There's others that think that he isn't libertarian enough. Either way, there's only one way for you to affect the libertarian nomination process, and that's to get involved in the party. You don't sit on the sidelines and complain. Make a difference. Free Talk Live's negotiated, and we have. I mean, this wasn't something that they were just ready to do. We negotiated a free Libertarian Party membership for you. Now, normally this is, I think, $25 for the for an annual membership, and you get it for free. All you have to do is go and claim it. You go to LP lp.org/FTL. That's LP as in Libertarian Party.org/FTL, and sign up right now. And that'll get you your free membership, lp.org/FTL. Let's go to Jimmy calling in from Arizona. Jimmy, you're on Free Talk Live. Jimmy.
Chris. Hi, Chris. I don't lie, cheat, steal, commit murder, or tolerate those that do.
Oh.
And even though you left the military, Chris, I should hope to think that the military honor code didn't leave you.
I hope not either. I hope I was honorable when I went in.
I don't much think that you're actually one of the only decent people I think ever walked into that Liberdopian studio you broadcast.
Yeah, that's enough for me.
Well, you cut him off mid-compliment.
Yeah,
the guy was actually complimenting me.
You?
Well, can I not get one compliment?
You got one compliment. He thinks that you're the only good person that has ever walked into the Liberdopian studios or something.
Yeah, I always feel compelled to listen to James because I had a near lucid conversation with him one time, and it was an interesting back and forth. So
okay, well, maybe next week.
Yeah, maybe next week, James. I hope to talk to you.
Sick of that insulting, violent, insane man.
And I understand why some of the hosts feel that way. I get it. It's the ad hominem attacks, and you guys don't need to put up with it.
Go check out things James Whittakind says on Facebook. Just type in things James Whittakind says. You'll find out all the threats that I've collected over the years from him. Chris, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hi, yeah. I was wondering how the couple nights ago you said, Mark, that you were in favor of the death penalty or something to that effect. How do you justify that or defend that position?
I wish I could have the audio that you said. I do not justify the death penalty. I understand why people.
Could you explain it? What you were talking about? Do you remember what you?
No, I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to. You
said something like sometimes it's okay, or it might be okay to have the death penalty.
I would have to hear an audio recording of it. I just don't know what you're talking about particularly. I would say.
Okay, well, what do you think about the death penalty then?
So my thought on the death penalty is that when humans are perfect, then they should be able to mete out the death penalty. Until then, people that advocate for the death penalty are advocating for the murder of people because they're innocent. If guilty people are found guilty, then necessarily innocent people would have to be found guilty at some point too, right? Like we are an imperfect group, and this is an imperfect system. So if you advocate for the death penalty, you are advocating for the murder of innocents, and therefore you are, to my mind, a murderer.
To me, that's a good explanation of it because that's what's happened. DNA and all these looks back into cases in the past that innocent people have been put to death.
And it certainly happened historically.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's necessary either. It's not. It doesn't show itself to be a particularly a deterrent to anything.
Right.
And it's ineffective, costly, and immoral is my opinion. Now, having said that, I've got to say that when the Boston bomber recently was found. I think they found him guilty and sentenced him to the death penalty. I'm pretty sure. I don't know what I heard. I heard it on NPR, and I thought, my immediate visceral gut reaction was good.
Right.
Right. Like, I mean, this guy's just an evil person as far as I'm concerned. Like, he's just the bad guy, and to see the bad guy get it, that doesn't make me feel bad. I feel bad when innocent people get it, and we never know whether people are innocent or not. He seems pretty likely that he was guilty, but nonetheless, that's how I feel about it. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, no, that definitely aligns more with what I was expecting, but you didn't really go on about the death penalty. It was a very, very brief clip, and maybe if you had gone on more, it would have explained it better.
Oh, no problem at all. Please, call in and call us out on these things.
It definitely sounded like you were saying that I'm for the death penalty, and I was like, wait a minute, what? That's exactly the opposite of everything. Like, I understand the defense. One should have the right to defend themselves, but that's going way beyond defense. So I would go farther than that in saying that I don't think we should have a death penalty regardless of whether or not we're perfect or not.
Yeah,
I think if we were all perfect, we wouldn't have a need for the death penalty. So it kind of
in a free market world, people are going to get what they demand, and don't people demand the death penalty?
I don't.
No, you don't. I don't. But but a lot of people do. I mean, I kind of wonder about this.
Right.
The death penalty is kind of a populist issue, and it's people that seem to think about it the least are the ones that want it the most, it seems. And I understand their position. I tend to, ex-convicts are some of my least favorite people on earth.
I wonder when we started calling it the death penalty, because, you think back to, the West as the West was being settled, sometimes the sheriff might have just put a hole in a guy because, it looks like you stole those cattle and we're done.
And the sign said wanted dead or alive, right?
Right, right. Yeah.
Chris, thanks for the time. Appreciate it. Let's go to David calling in on Skype. David, you're on Free Talk Live. David, can you hear me? Have I done this improperly? David going once. Going twice. Whoa, there he is. Hello.
There he is. Hello.
Oh, now I'm being recorded. Kind of fun. All right, dropping that off and going to Jeff calling in from Illinois, WRMN. Jeff, you're on Free Talk Live.
That what the guy said about the traffic stop was very thoughtful, and that's why cops won't like it. Anyway, also he should put all.
Nice.
Thanks. Also, he should put that on, in all scripted form so people can start following the script and learning, because it sounded really brilliant. Like somewhere on your guys' site, maybe the Facebook page or whatever.
It's up on the Facebook page now. Sadly, the site doesn't have a lot of pictures or anything, so I don't have a way to make it the greatest post in the world. But, I've got some script there. You can go look at it and that kind of thing.
They'll have the whole thing there, huh?
Well, the script is there. Yep. It's you just go.
Well, okay. Just what he said on the air.
Link to the script, I should say.
Oh, the link, because he has a link with the whole deal there. Okay, that's good.
Yep.
Thanks a lot.
No problem. Thanks for the call.
Bye now.
855-450-3733. Let's go. David is calling back. Apparently, maybe he's fixed his phone issue. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
I have fixed my phone issue, I believe. Good. How do you hear me?
All's well. Yep.
Great.
Yeah. In the short time you have left,
2 minutes.
News of today: the chief of police live on the radio locally today, Geyer, in New Mexico, second largest or soon to be second largest city anyway, suburb of Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, stated today in a conversation about a Romero that had shot and killed a cop earlier, within the last year or whatever, got tried and sentenced to life in prison with no parole. When asked about the death penalty, the chief of police says that he doesn't think it's a deterrent, and although he didn't say definitively one way or the other, it was deduced that he was against it. So that's one chief of police that was against it, and most certainly innocent people have been executed and would continue to be executed if it continues, or if it stays in place in the states where it is being done. Most certainly they will again at different points in the future execute innocent people, and that alone is enough to make it that it cannot exist in a sane civil society. So
let me throw out a bone to the conservatives here. Now, it's a lot more expensive to keep taking a case back to court for appeal after appeal after appeal than it is to feed somebody bologna sandwiches 3 times a day. And that's what the conservative case for the death penalty is the fact is if you just make a higher level of punishment, say just solitary confinement or something like death penalty is up until the point that you die,
right,
then at the very least it addresses all the concerns of most of the parties involved, except that solitary confinement is torture, and it's cheaper for everybody involved. David, thank you for the call. Check us out at freetalklive.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those 2 tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719 That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
The live edition of Flaming Freedom is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, October 13th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.49 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,257 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $638. Antiwar.com reports just a few days after an incident in which the USS Mason, passing through the Bab al-Mandeb Strait off Yemen, believed it was fired at with a pair of missiles from Yemen. The Pentagon is reporting that the same ship, still roughly in the same place, was fired at again, though again the missiles did not hit them. It is still unclear why the USS Mason was still hanging out around the strait when it passed through on its way to the Red Sea, though with Pentagon officials saying they intend to keep U.S. warships there just to prove that they have the freedom to operate off the coast of Yemen. The idea may simply be for U.S. warships to wander around the coast of nations at war and then park as soon as they come under anything resembling fire. The Pentagon is also vowing revenge, saying they will respond at the appropriate time and in the appropriate manner. It is not clear who fired the missiles, however, Pentagon officials claim to have at least some circumstantial evidence suggesting it was Yemen Shiite Houthi movement. The Pentagon cited small boats in the water around the time of the missile fire as evidence that the Houthis might have sent boats out to spot for the attack, and also